local, domestic, or you might be international. Hopefully, wherever you at, you are safe. And I'm happy to be broadcasting to you today. First and foremost, I'll give you a rundown of what we're pretty much going to be talking about today. Meg Thee Stallion apparently has come to a settlement with 1501 off of that record label. We'll talk about ramifications of that. Also, is she really independent? Because if you don't know, there's a third label in there, so we'll talk about that. We're going to be talking about Jeezy. He's not made official. He's done with, Ling Ling, okay? Jeannie Mae, whatever her name is, okay? He's done with her. Single as hell. He's on the prowl, okay? What else is going on? Okay, DJ Envy. Apparently the radio station was raided. They grabbing mic cords, laptops, Serato. They took everything. They made sure. Listen, they wasn't looking for the Yeezy in the Serato. They were looking for the fucking $18 million, okay? But yes, they did supposedly raid iHeartMedia and the Power 105 studios because they are hitting the real estate RICO, okay? We'll be talking about that in a little bit. What else is going on? 6ix9ine battling for his freedom. Apparently, give it a short right now. We'll explain a little bit later. He'll probably be incarcerated for another week, okay? Apparently, he has another hearing on Friday, but as of so far, he was denied release. Now, it's a very convoluted situation. They're still dealing with jurisdiction issues, and they're still realizing or actually coming to terms with what the actual charge is going to be. We're a long way. Again, this is Dominican Republic legal system. A long way from the United States legal system, where usually you could get discovery or something like that. It looks like they're still sorting shit out. Very high profile person. We'll get into that. By the way, his girlfriend Yailin Lamas Viral, she did an interview. We'll try to get a translator to give some more context on that as well. A lot of shit going on there with him. I haven't spoken to him. I'm probably gonna reach out to his brother today, but you do know that's my man's. I do think he did some dumb shit, or he may have been involved in some dumb shit, but still my man's. Okay. What else is going on? Prayers out for DC Young Fly. I see that I believe he lost a sister or another relative. Recently he lost also the mother of his kids, which is also his girlfriend or maybe wife. I don't know which one it was, but I want to send my prayers out for DC Young Fly. What else is going on? 42 Doug now released out of jail. Good for him. Forgot why he got locked up in the first place, but we'll kind of get into that. What does it mean? Is he back on and popping? Usually jail and being released from jail kind of gives people a boost. He was definitely going for like about a year, it feels like, but not too long that people won't remember him. So I think he's back in the game. I see him picture with Yo Gotti, of course, La Bebe, okay? La Bebe. And we'll talk about that as well. What else is going on? Gucci and T.I. squashing the beef. If unbeknownst to a lot of people, Gucci and T.I. weren't seen eye to eye. Okay, and they officially squashed their issues on a recent Gucci show. Okay, congrats to Gucci, by the way. He got a key to the city for 10/17 day. If you don't know, he always drops a project. He has something coming out on October 17th, which just passed 2 days ago. Okay, what else is going on? Pop Hunter almost got backdoored. I ain't gonna lie, man. The backdoor mommies are still out here. To keep it real, whether you're famous or you're not famous, you probably got to start taking phones. These chicks is dropping pins, locations, trying to let they scam a nigga come rob you. It's not a good sight. We're probably going to start off with a real estate RICO, of course, with, listen, I'm going off what Envy says. Envy say he's a victim as well. And some people believe he's one of the perpetrators, but we'll get into that. I know Tony the Closer been reaching out to me. I don't know. I think he wants to come in and kind of explain to us what's going on. I'm going to be honest with you. I like DJ Envy, so I'm acting a little bit willfully, ignorant to a lot of this stuff because I don't want to believe that DJ Envy, somebody who I really like, has finessed people for the tune of over 17 million. Okay, so I'm going to blame it all on his partner, and his partner was arrested. Okay, so until they got Envy in cuffs, I'm in denial. Okay, I'm in denial. I like Envy, right? But they're definitely searching that motherfucking laptop, and they're not just only looking through the Serato. What else? We should probably start there. YNW Melly jury selection has started. This is probably the most important part of the trial for Melly this time around. Keep in mind, Melly had a mistrial for the last situation because of one juror allegedly that voted no. And it was only one at first, and then he convinced two other people. It was actually one woman, and she convinced two other people to stand with her, saying, no, he's not guilty. And that verdict came to be a mistrial, or it was really just a hung jury, and then it was ruled a mistrial. So we'll talk about what's going on with that. Young Thug, still in court. Ain't nothing happening in there. You know what I mean? Still in court. No updates. No trial date in sight. If you ask me, it's no way Young Thug gets on trial before this year. I think he's going to go on trial February to March. If we're lucky, January, if you ask me. Right? What else? And by the way, I do think they're going to pick a jury for the Young Thug's case by the time they get to December. Right? I don't think they want to hold jurors or still be going through this process after, because, you always know this, right? Because we did it with the Tory case. They go through a lengthy break with the court system. And to have people unreasonably either missing work or just kind of being held in limbo, other than figure out if they're going to be serving in this trial or not, is going to be a waste of time. All right. What else? 21 Savage tour. Yes, 21 Savage. Congratulations to him. Got his green card. He has announced that he will be doing a tour overseas, and actually he's going to the UK. He's going back to the UK, right? If you don't know the story of him, he came over to Atlanta when he was like 10 years old. Nobody really knew he wasn't from Zone 6. And is he from Zone 6? Or is that Soulja Boy? Zones. Every time I think about Atlanta, I think about Zone 6, Simpson Road. I think that's some Soulja Boy shit. 150 shooters. Anyway, actually, I went to where 21 was from. It was on like Glen Road, something like that. Anyway, yeah. So he's doing tours and all that type of stuff overseas, which is very dope for him. His first performance was actually out the country in Canada, which congratulations to him for that. But 21 Savage is all the way good. What else is going on? Party really, wife Meg. Okay, all right. We'll talk about that. Blueface says he saw Meg wound and said it didn't look like she got shot. Okay, we'll talk about it. Do y'all feel it's kind of ironic and weird that Blueface is bringing this up? We kind of talked about it on the live stream. Was it 2 days ago? If you didn't watch last live stream, I did it from one of my studios at my headquarter location, and I had some chat niggas with me. So hopefully you guys got a little bit more familiar, at least facial wise, with Fax Kyrie, Wale Intern. They are going to be dropping a podcast of sorts, and I'm hoping you guys do support it. All right. Anyway. Cool. Somebody says, what? Mad Music Cali smoked his girlfriend? No way. Mad Music Cali is the guy who used to run up on everybody at the mall. That one rapper who always found every rapper at the mall. He killed his girlfriend? No fucking way. That's crazy. Trey Songz got new cases? What else is new, man? Listen, Trey Songz. We'll talk about Trey Songz. Remind me about the Trey Songz thing, all right? Okay. Somebody say he's not clout chasing. If he was, he would have said it when it was a topic of media. All right, maybe he's not clout chasing, but do you think it's a little bit unbecoming of a real nigga if you are bringing it up when a woman has gone through multiple other, I mean, I guess she's not in a relationship right now, but why even bring it up? You know what I mean? Unless you kind of trying to shame her or trying to get some brownie points by saying you fucked her. I don't know. We'll talk about it. All right. Anyway, let's start off with the first and foremost. Here we go, man. The real estate RICO is true. I'm going to be honest with you. And I seen TMZ cover the part of me reacting to this whole real estate RICO shit last time. And I ain't gonna lie, I was laughing at the people who got duped. And the reason why I said they deserve Donkey today, not because I don't feel bad for them. I was just like, yo, why on fucking earth would y'all give this nigga $800,000 for some place in like, if you don't know what Patterson, New Jersey is, nigga, that's like Southside Chicago, okay? It's like somebody bringing you to the slums and saying, give me $1 million, I'm gonna give you 1.3 in 3 months because I'm gonna flip that property. The property not even worth that. However, the nigga was able to scam so many people on, supposedly it was only like 4 properties or so, for $17 million. But don't listen to me. Let's actually play the clip. Here we go, chat.
After we broke the story of investors who say they were scammed in a real estate venture promoted by radio host DJ Envy, there is a major development.
DJ Envy's longtime business partner has been arrested by federal agents in New Jersey. 6ix9ine has been charged with fraud. Investigative reporter Sarah Wallace has been all over the story. She has the latest from federal court in Newark.
6ix9ine arrested by the feds this morning on a charge of wire fraud and brought here to the federal courthouse in Newark. They say this may be just the beginning. He could face additional charges of money laundering.
You might know him on Instagram as Flippin' NJ, my friend 6ix9ine.
DJ Envy often had his pal, 6ix9ine, on the radio hosts The
Dude kind of look bad when he says, my friend.
Breakfast Club show.
Started with no money, and here I am, $50 million later in real estate.
Promoting their real estate partnership. Now, in this federal complaint, the government says Pena engaged in a Ponzi-like scheme involving investors, adding Pena defrauded dozens of victims of millions of dollars. We interviewed many of them.
I lost $200,000.
$835,000. Bro, you can tell sometimes niggas wear suits for no reason, man. Like what? Yo, if you even see how the nigga sees opinions dressed, bro, you should know not to give that nigga more than $10, bro. That nigga should be panhandling. How did y'all give him this much money?
In total, I lost a total of $64,000. I lost $1 million.
Envy, whose real name is Rashawn Casey, was not charged, but many of the alleged victims say they were influenced by his celebrity.
He's advertising this all over the radio and on television.
Investors say Pena promised he would rehab and flip distressed properties, many in Patterson, giving a 30% profit within months. Dozens have now filed lawsuits saying they never got any of their investment back. Pena is accused of pocketing $17 million from just four.
That's a good finesse. That's a good finesse.
Four properties. As news broke of his arrest, we were interviewing Jeff Robinson, who owns a food truck and car wash in Patterson.
My son was my world, and these people took advantage.
His son, Jeff Jr., tragically died in a car accident 6 months ago, leaving 2 children behind. Jeff Jr. had invested $325,000 with Pena in this Passaic property.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie. This nigga gotta go to jail. This nigga gotta go to jail. Holy. I was laughing at first, but this nigga gotta go to jail, bro. Holy. Damn.
The dad says Pena then went dark.
After I buried my son, I called Caesar. Oh, bro, I'm going to meet you. I have text correspondence with Caesar, text messages. Oh, I'm running a little behind. He never met me here. But my main concern is getting what's due to those children. It's not fair. The comfort would be when my grandkids are in position when they have trust accounts with that money that he owes those children.
Pena pleaded not guilty. He has to post a $1 million bond and is being released on electronic monitoring. He cannot leave the state of New Jersey. No.
I don't know if that last guy who was talking about his son was making a pun. But is it Shakespeare or something like that? You know that saying like, yo, what's due on the Caesar, give to Caesar. That's like some shit. I think you ever heard that term? What's due to Caesar, give to Caesar. Whatever.
No comment from DJ Envy. An inside source tells us that the iHeartRadio offices were visited by the feds who took out electronic equipment as part of this investigation. From Newark, Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
Oh, hell nah. They done raided the Breakfast Club, snatched the bagels, the French toast, the waffles. They done took everything up out of the Breakfast Club. An inside source told me that, yo, you know that little mold of like Charlemagne's ass that Envy got? I heard they took that shit too. Real talk. They took everything up in that bitch. God damn. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna play the what's his name? Spencer Cornelia. Salute to that guy. He been covering this shit too. Here's the thing. So the first indictment came down, and it's a federal indictment. Cesar Pena is charged, and I think there's many more charges to come, and this is not it. They got him for wire fraud. Usually when these type of things unfold, the easiest thing to get people for is just the fact that you were doing some funny shit with money. Now, some of the actual fraud that he did, right? Like, you know what I mean? There's other charges that could be associated with that, but they just hit him with the main shit already, which is basically, wire fraud, which means like pretty much you took people's money and either lied to them or you did it or people sent you money or you sent other people money and you did it in a fraudulent way, right? So there's many more charges to come. We don't know if, and I see a lot of people asking, is DJ Envy cooked? Is DJ Envy going to be charged? I have no idea, right? But it doesn't mean because he hasn't been charged now, he won't be charged. Or it doesn't mean that he might not get a separate charge, even if him and Caesar isn't necessarily co-defendants. Now, if you're going to ask me what probably happened, the feds probably already talked to Envy. And the feds probably said to Envy, check this out. You're proclaiming that you really had no idea, but you're going to have all the information we need to convict him. So I'm going to assume, unless Envy is charged, I'm going to assume that Envy probably, and again, I don't use the word cooperating because I don't know if Envy thinks he's a gangster or some shit like that, but me, I'll be like all the way on the cooperation list. I would think he cooperated. Like, you know what I mean? Hey, and cooperation just might mean, hey, I'll give you the information of whatever dealings that I know that could further your investigation in actually charging and incarcerating this guy. All right? So that's what I'm thinking initially. Now, the second thing I'm thinking is that them grading iHeartMedia also means they're probably investigated DJ Envy as well. Now, what they're probably going there for is mainly all audio or video, even maybe things that have been said that were recorded but not aired, right? Like, for example, Caesar goes there. Usually sometimes all these mics are hot all the time, even if they edit it out. They want to see if Envy said something to Caesar or Caesar said something that wasn't aired. They want to see if that shit could probably be used. That's what I'm thinking is happening. But it also kind of makes me think that Envy's not all the way in the clear. Now, we'll see if Envy gets charged. By the way, he consistently has said he got nothing to do with this, and he's also a victim himself, okay? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. He's in a very tough position, and even though I particularly would want him to just jump out and be like, yo, check this out, right? I want him to say, this nigga's a scammer. I didn't know he was doing it, and I'm sticking with the victims. He's in an interesting place because some of the victims are directly blaming him. Also, if he comes out and says that, there is going to be further civil proceedings down the line that's probably going to look towards him and say, even if you're not legally liable, right? Like, without a doubt, iHeartMedia and DJ Envy, those are the cash cows in this entire situation. They're going to be getting sued from here till infinity, okay? If you lost your son and your son invested $325,000 and everybody has the same story that the news has interviewed, everybody with the same story. We only invested because we trusted the word of DJ Envy. That is enough for a civil suit and actually enough for possibly mountain civil suits that are going to definitely, you have to include iHeartMedia. iHeartMedia got the big bucks. They're the people that's going to go settle. They're the people really with the bag. Second of all, and this is where, if you ask me my true opinion, I don't think DJ Envy gets charged. I think DJ Envy is going to probably expend, if he ever had one, his get out of jail free card at Power 105 and at iHeartMedia because he's been so loyal to them. He's also been there for such a long time, even though back in the day he sued them. We'll get into that another time. But the company's probably looking at him currently like, you're getting us into some shit we don't want to be in. And that's usually the place where people like cutting ties. So I do think there probably is conversations like, hey, should we get rid of him? I think they won't. And I think he's not going to go to jail either because I think they could probably skate by this somehow, even though legally this is going to be a nightmare. This shit's going to be a nightmare, right? Again, the reason why iHeart's going to be brought into it, anything to do with civil, And by the way, a lot of things that's going to come out in discovery or court, whatever the Fed seized, the civil cases are going to piggyback off the criminal case, and they're going to use some of the discovery that the Feds got when they raided Power 105 to build their case for some civil shit. So again, there's going to be a lawsuit to DJ Envy, obviously to Caesar, but I think by the time when the Feds is done with him, he's broke. So he ain't going to have no money to give back. So DJ Envy and iHeart on a civil level are going to be the most exposed, if you ask me. The second thing is going to be this, and I think if DJ Envy gets suspended, if there's any punitive action that gets taken to DJ Envy, it's going to be because of this. The lawsuits are going to be lawsuits, but I do believe that based on what the Breakfast Club did and how they allowed someone who is a flat-out scammer to use their platform, which is governed by FCC laws, because all radio stations, right, FM and AM, are governed under federal law, right? Like this actually is, those airwaves or those frequencies are not owned by a singular company. It's leased. It's owned by the government. So if you now have fraud being disseminated across government frequencies that this particular company leases, you should imagine that it's like, think about like the stock market with the SEC and all type of regulation. Like, like you can imagine iHeart and Power 105 probably are going to be in the area of breaking a lot of FCC laws, right? Which means you're not supposed to be using the airways for those things. So if you willfully and continually did that for years, I could see huge fines being levied to Power 105, and I don't know how many times homie's been up there, the flipping NJ, the Caesar nigga, been up there to do interviews. Nor do I know how many times DJ Envy himself has solicited or advertised, whether it be an expo, whether it be anything to do with this guy, because at this point everything is scam. I don't care if you were just saying, oh, I was only promoting the expo. It's all a process of what this Ponzi scheme is built upon. They use the airwaves to amplify the voice, to farm people, to come to an expo, to then solicit investments from, and then scam them. So I believe that Power 105 is going to get hit. Now, when they get hit with these fines, they might look at DJ Envy as an expendable commodity to say, bro, we got to get rid of you. Like, matter of fact, we owe you a few million anyway on your contract. You have broke the contract, and I'm pretty sure if they wanted to get out of a contract with Envy at this point, this would definitely, 100% be like one of those things that it's in everybody's contract. No matter who, like when I was with Spotify, shit, me now with Rumble, you do something that costs this motherfucking company some bread, they could cut the ties immediately. All right, it's over. It's over. We're not paying you no more. Kick rocks. I do think if they're getting hit with fines, lawsuits are mounting, I think they might consider that. I still don't think they let go of him, though. I still don't, but we're still pretty early. I still think they don't let go of him, but it's super early. But we're probably going to see within the next 2 weeks some announcement, if you ask me, from iHeartMedia. It could happen as quick as tomorrow in terms of them saying Envy's taking a leave of absence. Hey, he's taking a week off. Oh, we're gonna he's taking a few days and we're reconsidering whatever. Like, they're gonna address it somehow. But unfortunately, I don't know if Envy kind of saw this happening in the beginning, but this is horrible. This is horrible. Like, Envy has worked in the radio industry, and I know some of y'all might feel I'm a little biased to him. I like Envy. Envy's a DJ. I always say that DJs are ultimate hustlers, and when I mean hustlers, I don't scammers ain't hustlers to me. Scammers are scammers. Scammers are like a liar and a thief. Don't respect those people. But DJs to me always fill in the gaps of the music business that needs to be filled in. Whether it's media, whether it's being the interviewer, whether it's you're not just DJing anymore, right? It's a really broad profession. So I've always respected DJ Envy, and Envy's been super rapper rich since I knew him. So again, I want to believe that Envy is not associated with any of these things, because nobody works in the radio industry for 30 years to get to the biggest show on this on that platform in terms of radio. He's on a syndicated show, The Breakfast Club. He worked 30 years to get here to have a fucking scammer kill your career. I can't imagine Envy woke up one day and be like, yeah, I think I'm gonna just go scamming with this guy. So I am in denial a little bit. So if that happens to be true, we'll see. Now, I'm gonna tell you what's probably happening too. They're probably having talks with Caesar as well to probably throw Envy under the bus as well. They're probably trying to already talk to Caesar to say, hey, listen, everything we're getting from Envy, he's not involved. If you tell us how he's involved, he's a more attractive, right? By the way, this whole case came out of the New Jersey, actually the Newark, I think it's the Newark FBI field office. And, speaking with, even speaking with Myron, who used to be a former FBI agent, the feds love attractive cases. They want the big name they could dangle. And yes, the Caesar nigga, like, while you might know his name and I know his name now, DJ Envy would be way more attractive than Caesar, right? So I'm pretty sure they're probably talking to Caesar to say, if you got something you could give us on him, let us know. But they're probably talking to Envy the same way. Give us some shit on him, right? And maybe, who knows, if you give us enough, maybe you get some sort of immunity or some sort of special deal if we are going to charge you. So I think that's the current situation. I'd be shocked if the weeks, the next few, I'd be shocked if October finishes, nothing happens at the Breakfast Club, Envy's still there and doesn't address, well, he already tried to address it. But I'm talking about the upper echelon management. Nobody addresses stuff. You get what I mean? Usually the feds is what scares a lot of people. No company wants to hear the feds is raiding them, right? Because when the feds is raiding you, they're now going to be looking at so many different things. Like, for example, right? These are some of the things I would imagine the feds would be interested in. Okay, Flippin' NJ, the Caesar dude, who we kind of, at this point, we all feel like he was scamming, right? You know what they're probably going to be doing? Was there any transactions done with iHeartMedia and Flippin' NJ? If you don't know, rarely do most programs like Breakfast Club or like a station like Power 105 would have people pay for interviews. But imagine if Caesar paid for an interview, right? Now, that brings a whole different aspect to it. So you accepted payment, right, or some type of transaction from the guy and allowed him to scam others. You are now in bed with that. You get what I mean? Like, you're breaking a lot of advertising laws. Again, all of this is happening via federally regulated airwaves. So there's a lot of things. If you ask me what they seize, and I was being joking earlier on about taking all of the breakfast shit, I'm saying they probably took all of the recordings, right? And I'm pretty sure they have servers and files and whatever. All of the recordings for the last 2 or 3 years, ever since Caesar came there, they probably have a time period, right? They also took any type of financial records. They might have taken surveillance footage. They probably took all of that to see, and shit, who knows? I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure there's probably, I know, because I went there. There is surveillance cameras in all these rooms. It's a big ass studio. So they probably want that because they're like, maybe y'all wouldn't talk about the scamming when the mics are on, but y'all would talk about it in the room. What's gonna capture that? The surveillance camera. So again, I think iHeartMedia is probably shitting bricks, and I don't think they want to be involved in this at all. Envy's in a tough position because as much as he's gonna claim he's the victim, a lot of the people who are also the victim are looking at him to say, yeah, of course, Caesar is guilty, but you're guilty too because we did it on behalf of you. And it kind of opens up this bigger conversation. In what is the responsibility of the platforms that you are listening to or you're feeding into and the information that they give you, right? Because obviously, when I heard Envy speak on it, I won't even play what he said, but he basically said, you know, he was trying to do these expos with this guy, but he never took no one's money. Well, that's playing the ignorant card, right? Like, yo, well, I didn't know he was going to scam. I thought he was going to do this. Is it not his job to find out if you are pushing this aggressively? Keep in mind, Envy's been in videos with this guy multiple times, like a bunch of videos. Apparently also what Tony the Closer was saying is that Envy's listed on one of these companies as a co-founder. So it becomes a little unrealistic if you're like, well, I didn't know what he was doing to bread. So again, I think Envy's in a really tough spot. All right. Again, I don't know the full truth, but I'm kind of watching this, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm glad some shit like this happened, because you know what? I always said all these little real estate fix your credit niggas and scammers. Like, anytime I hear a nigga be like, yo, he could teach me what to do with my money, I'm like, bitch, nigga, what about your money? Make your money, nigga. You make your money. You don't need to help me, nigga. Make your money, nigga. The fuck you got going on? Anytime you hear a nigga like he just trying to help you, listen, bruh. If it was so easy to make money, man, niggas wouldn't be giving out courses on it. You get what I mean? Like you would really have to fucking go get the information. Anyway, there's a bunch of other stuff that's kind of happening. Actually, let me go to Spencer. Yo, and I'm gonna be honest with you. The fallout of all of this is gonna be this, right? If Envy, let me see. No. He said this is new video. All right, well, we'll see. All right. Envy's contract with iHeart is gonna, matter somewhat, right? Are you gonna hear him? Like, was he on the show this morning? He probably was, right? Envy's contract with iHeart is gonna matter, but also, if Envy is on an account, again, even if he doesn't know about it, right? If if Envy was on an account, hold on, let me see. Why did my nigga Fresh call me? Yo, what up?
You live?
Yeah, I am.
Yo, mine got some info on.
Yo, what up?
Yo, what's up, Ag? If you want me to give you some commentary on it, I could. You want a Reddit link, or you want me to just talk to you on FaceTime?
Shit, no, just break it down. Like, tell me what's going on, because I'm gonna be honest with you. I actually thought, I didn't think Fed charges was gonna come down as quickly, and I didn't think they were gonna take it that serious. But it looked like really people got scammed. It's like a Ponzi scheme, they're saying.
Yeah. So I'll keep it simple for your audience. Can they hear me right now?
Yeah, they can hear you.
Okay. What's up, guys? So. I looked at the thing that's not even being
Wait, hold
on these crime agencies. It's actually.
Hold on. Let me just call him regular. My bad, chat. My bad. I'm about to just. My bad. I'm just calling him regular. FaceTime's fucking up. All right, by the way, this is my man Myron right here. Like, former federal agent. Like, these are the type of, like, things he was working with. Oh, yeah, Myron, you here?
That's better?
Yeah, way better.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Can you hear me?
Perfect. Yeah, I can.
Okay, so I'll say it from the beginning. So when I first looked at this case, I read through the complaint, and I thought it was a little weird because the main leading agency is the United States Attorney's Office. And the United States Attorney's Office, for those that don't know, is basically the federal version of the prosecutor's office. And they have their own special agents, and they don't normally do criminal cases, off the rip. So that kind of intrigued me, because normally, it'd be the FBI or HSI or somebody that would.
Oh, it wasn't FBI then?
The FBI was involved, but they were not the lead agency.
Okay.
It was the United States Attorney's Office, who is the prosecutorial office federally out of the District of New Jersey. And FBI, and me and you have talked about this offline, how the FBI are clout chasers, so they would normally want to go after someone who has some type of fame like this. So I thought that was weird. But the charges, it's not necessarily a real estate RICO. What it is wire fraud. And wire fraud is, I think it's 18 U.S.C. 1343, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, it's a charge that the feds use all the time. It's like a 1001, like false statements, wire fraud, conspiracy, 18 U.S.C. 371. Like, these are what I call like bread and butter type charges that you hit somebody with, where it's enough to get them in jail, and then you might do a superseding indictment later where you hit them with more serious stuff. But it's just paper to get them into the judicial system. So what the guy was doing essentially was he was saying, yo, look, I have a real estate deal that I'm going to do. I need you to give me some money, and I'll give you a return after a certain period of time. And he would make these people sign contracts. But unbeknown to the investor, he already had the property. He was already controlling it. And he already had, secured financing or whatever to have it. So he would take their money and use it to do other shit, like, maybe pay off another house or, personal debts, whatever it may be. And one of the investors, he didn't pay back. So I'm willing to bet more than likely a couple of these investors got pissed off and went to the United States Attorney's Office and filed a complaint. Because for the United States Attorney's Office to be the lead agency, that typically means that it went to the United States Attorney's Office first. Someone went and let a tip to them, and then they have first right of refusal, and then they took the case. But they're a small agency, and they don't really have investigative capability like that, so they probably brought in FBI, etc. Also, if you read the press release, DEA was involved, which is also kind of weird. But from what I understand, talking with some professional colleagues, the United States Attorney's Office, their special agents, a lot of them are retired DEA or guys that come from other special agent positions, and they do the U.S. Attorney's Office thing. It's kind of like more a retirement gig.
By the way,
that's kind of a summary on it.
By the way, about the DEA being involved, I don't know if this would be one of the reasons. From what I'm hearing too, is that some of the people who invested money, like there's much more than what's listed here. Some of these, there's other people who gave money that might be like drug money, like street dudes. You know what I mean? Like they might have gave some money and be like, because they're expecting either to get the money cleaned or whatever the case is, or get their money back. But those aren't going to be the people who are going to be filing the lawsuits. You get what I mean?
Yes. Because I thought that was weird too. So I did a digging, and it could be some of the investors that were involved were trying to launder drug money. The DEA got, or B, which is another possible thing. The U.S. Attorney's Office, their special agents, a lot of them are former DEA. So if if you used to work for an agency and then you switch to another agency and you got contacts over there, well, it's not crazy to contact your old colleagues at that other agency to get them to help you. But normally to get DA involved, the case has to be Title 21, which basically means some type of drug investigation violating federal law of drugs. That's what Title 21 is. But it could be one of those two scenarios as to why DA was involved, but I thought that was very weird too. Obviously, the FBI was involved because a smaller agency like this typically needs help. They can't do a case like this complex by themselves. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if more charges don't come down in the future. If I was Envy, I'd be lawyering up right now, big time.
Well, he's definitely lawyering up. I've seen a few like news reports on it. Like he has some of the best lawyers already. But here's the thing, and by the way, if you guys don't know who I'm talking to Myron from Fresh and Fit, one of my good friends who's also former law enforcement, a former Fed. He's also big in real estate. So this is exactly up your alley, because right now you're huge in real estate. You talk all the time about real estate. Okay, let me ask you this. Yeah. DJ Envy, right? I guess people are thinking about the likelihood. His disposition been, hey, listen, even though my platform may have been used by the scammer, right, to solicit people for the scamming, and this is the weird part, they had a company together where I think he's listed as a co-founder. If DJ Envy didn't actually profit $1 or didn't use or misuse $1, is there a likelihood that he won't be charged, or do you think that they'll leverage charges against him to cooperate against Caesar?
That's a really good question. So if you read the criminal complaint, and for the audience, do you want me to explain what a criminal complaint is? Or?
Yeah, no, go ahead, man.
All right, so there's two ways to arrest somebody in the federal system. You could do something called a criminal complaint, where you file an affidavit, where the affiant is typically a special agent under some agency. In this case, it was the United States Attorney's Office, which, like I was telling you guys before, is weird. Or you can indict the individual, right? And an indictment is a formal charge. Now, if you charge someone, you have to be indicted in the United States, at least federally, for you to actually be formally charged. Now, you can file a complaint, right, to kind of get the process started, but then within 10 to 14 days, you got to indict that individual. Or you can just indict them off rip, and you don't have to file a complaint. Typically, when they do a complaint, that means they're on a time crunch. They're trying to get the guy in custody early. Maybe they wanted to try to get him to flip or something like that. because once you indict someone, their Sixth Amendment applies and a bunch of other bullshit. But I won't go into those details and bore your audience. But when I read the complaint, they mentioned this guy, and then they also mentioned his a co-conspirator, and they referred to him, I think, as Individual One or something like that in the complaint. And they said that he has a talk show radio, which very obviously they're talking about DJ Envy when they're referring to him. So he's actually mentioned in the complaint, not by name, but they name him, I think, as Individual One. So I would say if the feds can prove that Envy knew that this guy was out here defrauding people, in other words, taking investor money, but not necessarily using it to procure property like he claimed he was and using it for other things, and they can prove that, they can absolutely go after him for conspiracy.
Yo, but let's be honest, bro.
Yeah.
Did Envy really know? I don't think Envy really knew, bro.
Well, all right, so to Myron's point, right? If it's all about, say Envy knew that, the money was being used for other things. He just thought that it was going to be, everybody was going to be made whole, and that the money just wasn't completely getting stolen. Keep in mind, if Envy didn't get any money, do you think that, so you're thinking a conspiracy charge might bring Envy into the fold, even if he didn't get or profit $1?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because to prove conspiracy, and this is 18 U.S.C. 371, to prove conspiracy, all you need to prove is a act in furtherance of the crime. So basically, I'll give you an example. Let's say this guy was out here collecting investor money and procuring properties fraudulently, like the complaint alleges, right? Mm-hmm. And he told Envy, hey, look, I'm not really, using their money to buy the houses. I'm using it to do other shit, right? Mm-hmm. And Envy does something to help him do that. Maybe he opens a bank account. Maybe he moves money around for him. Maybe he, does in furtherance of this guy's criminal activities. They could go after him for conspiracy because he took overt acts to allow the criminal activity to be facilitated.
Hey, do you read? Apparently, they raided Power 105, which is iHeartMedia. They have a building in New York. They raided it. I'm guessing they took out, quote unquote, a lot of electronic devices, which I gotta imagine like hard drives and whatever the case is. Does that kind of lean towards they might still be trying to get stuff on Envy, or maybe they're just trying to get the interviews, like the raw versions of this Caesar guy?
Okay, and you said they raided iHeart, and Envy, does he have like an office over there or something?
Well, that's the radio station he works at.
Oh, okay, yeah. But I thought it was Power 105.1. Are they the same thing?
No, yeah. So iHeartMedia is the parent company. So like even like Z100 is iHeartMedia. They all fall under iHeartMedia.
Okay. All right. So, really good question. If the feds are doing a search warrant at your place of work, that's a very bad sign. Because, and I'll explain why. The reason why, and I've written hundreds of search warrants federally, right? So I could say this with the utmost guarantee. It takes a lot of probable cause to search someone's shit, man.
Really?
Yes. So, and I'll explain what I mean by that, right? So there's different levels of search warrants. You got search warrants where you can do it on maybe a tablet, a phone, and then all the way up to someone's house. And then you obviously have a Title III, which is when you're listening to phones, right? Mm-hmm. To search someone's home, right, is pretty much at the top of the hierarchy because that's considered someone's castle, etc. To search someone's place of work is right under there because there is a level of expectation of privacy in your workplace. And for them to search that, right, tells me that they're trying to build evidence and build a case against Envy because they probably have some information where they think that he was involved in furthering the conspiracy, which is why they were able to get the probable cause to search his place of business, because you need a lot of probable cause to search a place of business.
Wow. Okay, so so with a lot of people, and I think people are kind of, I think they're kind of being very early in trying to like predict this, but a lot of people think this is what's going to happen. They think that Envy is going to get, brought in on a proffer, right? And basically sat down and said, hey, listen, we know maybe you had some knowledge, but we know that you're not the person who basically orchestrated, benefited, or really ran this Ponzi scheme. But we do need information from you to prosecute this guy. We'll give you a deal. What do you think the likelihood, and again, this goes back to your statement about the feds love sexy cases. Do you think they would give him a proffer let him out the back door, so to speak, just to only focus on the Caesar dude? Or do you think they're probably, if anything, trying to get him in the case?
What I think they're doing is they're trying to get him in the case. They're trying to get him charged as well. If anything, they're going to try to get Caesar to cooperate, okay?
Really?
Against Envy, because in their eyes, they're going to look at it like, even if Caesar was the mastermind, they were going to look at it like, okay, well, who's the more prominent figure? Well, Envy's the more prominent figure, right? So it could go either way. It could go, because it really depends on how much Caesar cooperates, along with how much information they find on Envy's situation. So, like, let's say Caesar decides I'm not going to cooperate, right? And they're like, all right, well, whatever, who gives a shit? And they do the search warrant, and they find more evidence. Well, they're going to go to Envy, and they're going to potentially charge him anyway, right? So it really depends on what they're able to find. But the fact that they executed a federal search warrant at his place of business tells me that that's a problem. And for them to even get the probable cause to get the search warrant tells me that there's either maybe Caesar cooperated, maybe somebody else provided information, but they definitely have probable cause, which tells me that they have evidence to some degree.
So another part of this, and by the way, there's just so much things to talk about. But chat, if you guys don't realize, anytime it comes to like some ongoing current criminal case, like Myron's like my favorite person to talk to, because like he's all the way tapped in and usually brings a really interesting perspective and a lot of facts. All right. By the way, this angle which I was thinking about, so the radio airwaves, federally regulated, by the FCC. Does that play a part in, you got to imagine that the solicitation of these people, whether knowingly by Envy or him allowing it happened over federally regulated airwaves. Does that play into maybe some type of either charge, or maybe that's just handled on a fine basis for the station? Could some come out of that?
Yeah, so this is how the feds get, that's a really good question. So it's a radio show that is heard, internationally, and just by them being on a radio show that's heard all over the place, that already does something called affecting interstate commerce. And anytime you affect interstate commerce, it gives the feds jurisdiction. I'll give you an example. When a felon gets arrested with a gun, there's a federal charge for that. It's called 18 U.S.C. 922, right? Mm-hmm. And the way they're able to charge that is that the feds, this is how creative they could get with this interstate commerce shit. If the feds can prove that the gun that the felon was in possession of was manufactured in different parts of the country. So let's say you get a Glock, right? They're made in Austria, but then they're imported to the United States. The spring is made in Massachusetts. The ammunition is made in Florida, blah, blah, blah. And they're able to show, look, all these parts of the gun come from different places in the United States and affects interstate commerce. Bam, now they have jurisdiction. So in this situation, that's one angle that they could potentially argue is, hey, there's. By
the way, that happened in the Tax Stone case. Like what you're saying happened in the Tax Stone case. Also, the last part they put together with the interstate commerce thing was that he got the gun from a guy that was from another state. So I mean,
yes, but it doesn't even have to go that far. It could just be being in possession of the gun, and the gun was made like in multiple states. The parts of the gun were made in different parts of the state. So that's how easy it is for them to get interstate commerce affected. Now, in this case, right, you got the radio, which is one element that could make it federal, right? Because they're advertising this situation over the internet. But the main way that they're going to get him is the wire fraud. So what they actually hit this guy with was wire fraud, and the reason why they're able to do that is because he took money from people, and when he took the money, they were sending him a wire to make it happen. Well, anytime you send money digitally or electronically, you're affecting interstate commerce because it's going through the internet. And the internet is essentially interstate commerce, or sending a wire to any degree. So that's why they hit him with wire fraud. It's one of the staple charges that the feds charge a lot of times when money is sent illicitly for some type of criminal activity.
What's the blanket, or usually if people get hit with wire fraud, and by the way, I think we've seen or heard like a lot of people who have been accused of very specific things. You're right. There's certain things that will come down, whether it's like, things about some tax evasion or something like that. But wire fraud is definitely one of them. If let's just try to play this out. Let's say if he's guilty, what is he looking at, Caesar at least, with this wire fraud charge? I'm pretty sure there'll be more.
So yeah, they hit him with only wire fraud. We won't know what he's officially going to be charged with until about two weeks from now. They're going to probably indict him. Well, actually, I know for a fact they're going to have to indict him now within the next 2 weeks or so federally. So they might do a superseding indictment where they add other charges, or they're just going to stick with this one count of wire fraud as they build up the case. But I see, assuming he doesn't have any criminal history, it's not a violent crime.
No, he does.
He can do.
By the way, by the way, chat. This is the most craziest and ironic part of this all. Apparently, he was already incarcerating for fraud. So he did time for fraud. By the way, when he came on the radio and he was first talking about him starting in real estate, he said his mentor he met in prison when he was doing time for fraud. Ironic, right?
Oh, wow. So, all right. So since he has a criminal history already, I mean, he could do anywhere. And again, it depends on if he cooperates. It depends on the United States Attorney's Office, how aggressive they're going to pursue him, what they ended up indicting him before. But I would say anywhere from 3 to 10 years, somewhere in that range.
Really? I would be thinking more.
But remember, it's only one count of wire fraud. That's why. But I predict they're going to charge him with other stuff. I think they just hit him with this criminal complaint, one count of wire fraud, to get him into the system, and they're going to try to flip him and/or indict other conspirators or rack on more accounts.
What is the likelihood? And I'm at 90%. Actually, I'm at 100% with this. I just want to hear what you got to say. What do you think the likelihood that by now the feds have already executed a search warrant on Envy's phone and all other like communication that, his Instagram, who knows, anywhere where he may have even promoted this type of thing. You get what I mean?
Extremely high. They could, the phone might be a little bit more invasive because they would actually have to like take it from him and he would know. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't do a search warrant on, his Instagram account, Facebook, so all his social media, because the way you do a search warrant on social media, basically you send a preservation letter first. I've done this myself a few times. So you have to send a preservation letter, right? And when you send a preservation letter, you're basically telling the social media company, hey, please preserve this social media account from XYZ date to XYZ date. I'm going to go and get a search warrant, or I'm going to serve you with a grand jury subpoena or something to be able to look at this data later. But then they sent a preservation, because this guy's been doing this shit since like 2019, by the way.
Yeah.
Or 2017,
yep.
From what I read. So he's been doing this shit for a very long time. And I also predict the reason why they indicted him or did a criminal complaint was because they were getting close to statute of limitations. So that's another reason as well.
Wait, what's the statute of limitations on like fraud or this type of thing?
Most federal crimes, it's about 5 years.
Oh wow.
Unless the person is continuously still doing the crime, then they can go ahead and articulate, hey, this is a pattern of racketeering activity. We're gonna go after you for like. That's how they got Young Thug. Like they were looking.
You just cut out real quick.
Committing crimes and a pattern of racketeering and furtherance of the organization. So now those crimes, even though they're outside of the scope of the statute of limitations, they're able to bring those crimes in because it's a part of a larger conspiracy for RICO. So RICO is one of the situations where they can bring, override the statute of limitations. But in this case, it's not a RICO, so I don't think that they're doing that. But I think that he was continuing the criminal activity, so they're able to pull in older stuff that he did because it's a continuing conspiracy.
Interesting. Hey, what would the feds need to do like a search warrant? Because I could imagine part of this is probably also trying to figure out, hey, all right, maybe you don't have any communication of, or say they flipped Caesar and Caesar said, nah, I gave Envy 100,000 on this date. What would it take for them to like be able to like subpoena like his bank records to see if there was deposits or whatever, and from what I'm hearing, there is a bank account that was supposedly associated to this crime. What level would that meet? Because you talked about like in terms of search warrants for like a house or like place of business. How I mean, you got to expect a lot of privacy in your bank account, right?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. So there's a couple of ways that you could go about this. And when I did my financial investigations, right, you could do a regular subpoena or you could do a grand jury subpoena, all right? And a regular subpoena is an administrative subpoena only a few agencies could do it. My former agency, HSI, we could do it. FBI could do it, etc. And you basically serve a subpoena to the bank and say, hey, I need these financial records on this account for this individual, right? That's one way to go about it. The problem with that, though, is that the bank is obligated to notify their client that the feds requested bank statements or bank information on you, and they have a certain period of time. So some banks do it after 60 days, 90 days, whatever, where they notify their client, right? This also happens with Facebook or social media or email accounts as well when you do a regular admin subpoena. But if you do a grand jury subpoena, where you basically get a grand jury to get you a subpoena through the United States Attorney's Office, well, the bank can't do shit now, and they basically are not going to disclose anything. So I'm more than willing to bet they did grand jury subpoenas on not only this guy's bank accounts, but they definitely did them on Envy as well. So they already have them. I'm 99% sure they already have Envy's financial records.
Wow.
That's why, matter of fact, now that I'm having this conversation out loud with you, that's how they were probably able to get the probable cause to search iHeartRadio.
Well, allegedly, I'm going off what so this individual, Tony the Closer, he's been all over this. He disclosed, and I'm not trying to dox Envy or anyone else, but apparently Envy bought like a new house, right? And it's like a really expensive house, like $7 million or something like that. Do you think that's probably also raising a few red flags to say, well, this is something where people are defrauded out of tens of millions? And one of the people who might be party to this fraud has made huge purchases recently. Do you think that that's like a red flag as well or no?
That could be a component. I'm willing to bet that they already have Envy's bank records and they went through them, and they might have, if they saw a spike in income, during the years of the conspiracy, and they're able to tie it back to him making this money with this individual, which is why he was able to purchase certain things. They could definitely use that he used to purchase any type of assets can absolutely be seized from him. So if you take $1 of dirty money and you put it into a property that you own, that property is now seizable by the U.S. government.
Okay. And last thing on a technicality thing, right? Okay. Yeah. Envy says he never got no money, right? So when I hear that, I think the regular person is thinking he didn't, like, someone invested $300,000 and he just pocketed $100,000. But let's suppose, from what I was reading, and I'm gonna pull up the indictment in a little while, chat on screen, or at least I don't know if it's a full indictment. It's a complaint. It's a complaint.
It's a criminal complaint.
Yeah.
It's a criminal complaint filed by a special agent from the United States Attorney's Office.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull that up and we're gonna go through it. But what about on like a technicality, like okay, he didn't take money directly, but they mentioned something like there was a funding account where, like, there was an account that filled with obviously investors' money that Caesar may have used for other things, with the groceries, this and third, but it was clearly investor money. It in a world where, let's say, Envy thinks this is a business, right? And in a business, like usually if you're going on a business trip, you might build a business or it's paid for by the business. If that money was, I don't know, used to pay for travel or whatever, you get what I mean? Gas, who cares?
Yeah.
Could that, whether he knew it, or does his knowledge matter? Like, whether he knew it or not, could that bring him in, or he needed to have known that was money that was from the investors and was being used inappropriately?
So it could go either way. Either he can know that the money was being used improperly, but the biggest thing that fucked these guys up is that anytime you deal with investor money, you can't commingle it. And how this guy messed up is that he was commingling funds, right? This is what got Sam Bankman-Fried in trouble too. He was taking investor money and he was done. So anytime you take investor money, that's when the rules change. That's what's fucking them up too, is commingling funds. So it might not even need to be where they're able to prove that Envy, knew or didn't know that his friend was involved in this stuff, or this business guy was involved in this stuff. I mean, if they could prove that he was commingling funds too, it could be problematic for him as well.
Yeah, I guess, like, if people ever watch Breaking Bad, so in Breaking Bad, like, there was like a situation with like this guy, he got into tax problems, and like basically he kind of wiggled out of it because it turned out he didn't know. So like his ignorance helped him. And, you know, if I think Envy is going to be relying on ignorance as a defense. Again, I don't know if he did something or didn't do something, but based on what he said on his statement. By the way, did you hear his statement?
Did I what? Share a statement?
No. Did you hear his statement? So he spoke it on the Breakfast Club preemptively, and he was just like, basically, hey, I had no idea about this. If money was stolen, it was that guy, and I only did this to help my community, but my only part was kind of allowing this guy to use my platform, but I used it to try to, you know, help people.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. That he obviously is going to say that to save face or whatever. But the feds can prove otherwise. You know, they probably already have been going through his bank accounts. They got the probable cause to search his place of business, which tells me that they had some level of probable cause to even do so. So he could say one thing, but the fact that they got the PC to search his spot tells me something else. So, and they don't necessarily have to prove that he knew everything that was going on, but all they got to prove is that he took overt acts in furtherance of the conspiracy to help his partner commit these crimes. Like I was explaining earlier, conspiracy, all they got to prove, bro, you don't have to be successful. They just have to prove that you committed overt acts in furtherance of the crime. That could be something as simple as opening up a bank account. Hell, they might even be able to say that him promoting the scheme is an overt act.
Yeah, I seen a video which I think the ignorance part is going to be hard to pull off, because there's a video that exists where they're showing around the office for the company in question, and while showing off the office, like his office in the office is right next to the scammer's office. You know what I mean? It's like y'all are separated by a wall. So to be like, I had no idea what this guy was doing. I think it's going to be a hard sell if you know, just on face value.
Yeah, it's going to be very hard, because what the feds are going to do is this. They're going to probably look at every time this guy scammed out an investor, and they're going to look at what kind of kickback Envy took from every person that was an investor. And they're going to probably use that like, hey, you didn't know? Explain to me how, you know, you made 20 on this transaction, 20K on this transaction, 10K on this transaction, blah, blah, blah. You didn't know? Then they're going to basically, you know, use that against them, because people could say one thing, but the money trail, the bank accounts, the records, etc. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if they, you know, haven't gone through their text messages or their phone communication as well.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah,
you know, I definitely I guarantee you for a fact, right now, as me and you are speaking on the phone, the feds are probably going through this guy's phone and going through his conversations with Envy and looking at, you know, what they were talking about and what Envy was privy to in that business.
Interesting. Hey, by the way, if you guys don't know, man, you guys got to check out Fresh and Fit. They don't only talk about girls; they give a lot of advice in financial literacy. And these are my guys. Like, they're not trying to scam you. And also, one thing I'll say about Myron too, I've seen you use yourself more as the guinea pig and be transparent rather than say, "Yo, let me tell y'all something to do," and good luck. You know what I mean? Which I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, you know, because you share so much information, for somebody who wants to like invest, or someone who was a potential client or whatever, how could they have spotted this and be like, something don't sound right? Like, first of all, they were advertising, give us say 100,000, we're gonna give you 130,000 back in like 6 months. Is that like normal in real estate? I'm not like in the real estate like that.
Yeah, so this is actually a very big reason why I don't like doing real estate with other people and or collecting money from investors, because once you start collecting money from investors, bro, you open yourself up to so many issues, right? And I know people say all the time, oh, use other people's money. You know, you could do way bigger deals when you pool your money with other individuals, though that is true. It does come with, you know, inherent risks that I'm just not prepared to take on. So that's why I personally never touch investor money. But, you know, you can obviously do it successfully. You just, you know, there's more regulation. You got to do it a certain way.
Is that return, though? Like, I mean, like, to be honest, if I could invest some money and get a 30% return in 6 months, like, yo, sign me up. If that's some really legit shit, I mean, I think it's hard for anybody to turn down. I guess I'm asking you the margins on that. Is that a typical, like, say you were going to do it the correct way and not scam people, is it reasonable, feasible, and is it possible that you could promised these investors a 30% return on their investment within not even the span of a year.
It's possible because remember, when they're talking about, oh, I'm going to get you a 30% return, they're taking everything into effect. They're talking about cash on cash returns. They're talking about appreciation. They're talking about tax savings. They're talking about compounding interest. They're talking about so many different factors a lot of the time, so that when you do the math, it could be considered, quote unquote, a 30% return with real estate. And it is possible, but whenever you're, collecting investor money in real estate, it changes the game. And the other thing I was going to say too, oh man, I lost my train of thought. The question you asked me was the real estate collecting money.
Yeah.
That was one other thing I was going to tell you.
I was like, well, in terms of an investor, because I think, these people are regular people. A lot of people, they have, you can tell they probably dump life savings or like the majority of what they have in their savings account because they're believing envy, right? So they dumped it into this situation. Now they lost it. I mean, how could you avoid it?
Sorry, Ack. I remember what I was going to say now. The reason why this guy got caught is because he didn't pay his investors back.
Yeah,
that's what fucked him up.
I thought that was a scam, not to pay him back.
Well, see, here's the thing. He scammed. Well, of course, that's the end of the conspiracy by not paying the investors back. But he scammed because what he would tell the investor is, look, I'm going to go buy this property, give me this money. But then, unbeknownst to the investor, he already bought the property. He already owned it. So he would actually use it to go do another deal instead. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So he would acquire money through fraudulent means and then go use it to do another thing. But he didn't pay his investors back, which is why I think that's how this case even probably started. What more than likely happened is this. Investors paid this dude money. They didn't get a return as specified in the contract. They get pissed off, and they go and they lodge the complaint at the United States Attorney's Office. And that's how the United States Attorney's Office special agents got a hold of this thing and did this case.
What's the likelihood? Remember, this is supposedly to the tune of at least $17 million that he scammed and finessed. What's the likelihood that the feds either have already done or in the process of freezing or seizing his assets and making sure that the potential money that he has in his possession, that it can't be moved around while they figure this out? Because there's, obviously if he gets found guilty, there's going to have to be a portion of, we need the money back, right? So how do you think, how does that go in terms of, okay, listen, bank account frozen, what do you think is happening?
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that all the bank accounts that the feds identified have been frozen, and 100%, and they're amenable to forfeiture. Because I guarantee you, they probably have an asset and forfeiture AUSA assigned on this case as well, right? Because make no mistake about it, if the feds can seize some money that was obtained illegally, they're going to absolutely do that. So you got a prosecuting AUSA. Normally, when you have financial cases like this, you're going to have a prosecuting AUSA, and then you're going to have an asset and forfeiture AUSA. An AUSA is the United States Attorney, Assistant United States Attorney, a federal prosecutor. So you got someone prosecuting the case, and then you got someone on the asset side dealing with seizing the money and taking everything else.
Hey, if you are, I know you're not a lawyer, right? I usually work on the other side, but if you're DJ Envy, or all right, you're a lawyer now, right? And pretend, okay,
yeah.
Do you tell Envy, hey, listen, let's be proactive, then sit back and kind of play defense. Let's meet with the prosecutor and offer help to make sure you're all the way in the clear, or do you sit back and let them figure it out? And if there's a situation where you could help, then you decide if you want to help.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, both angles have a positive and a negative. If you go to the feds and you say you want to cooperate, right, and say, hey, I want to cooperate, I want to get ahead of this, that could be good and bad, because it depends. If you're the main target of the investigation, they're going to tell you, go pound sand, we don't care, especially if they have evidence that they're going to indict you anyway. Or they'll take your information and charge you anyway, right? Or you can wait until you're charged and you agree to cooperate under, a proffer or something like that, where you aren't going to be prosecuted for the information that you provide, right? So He's in a tricky situation, bro. He's in a very tricky situation because they're clearly still in the investigation phase because they're executing search warrants. So time will tell. But I'm willing to bet Envy's probably lawyered up right now. I hope he's lawyered up if he hasn't. And, you know, they're prepared for him to potentially be arrested down the road or be charged or something like that. Or maybe they file information or something on him.
Definitely. I know he's spending a shit ton of money on lawyers. I've seen supposedly he has one of the most high-profile civil attorneys because here's the thing. Everybody or the majority of people that got scammed have listed him as one of the defendants, right? So they're suing him too. So he's fighting civil cases against them, but he also has to, you know, field whatever's going to come via the government on a criminal complaint. So he probably has two different high-powered attorneys, which is going to cost a lot of fucking money. So.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. And keep in mind that civil cases don't have the same burden of proof as criminal cases. In a criminal case, beyond a reasonable doubt. In a civil case, it's preponderance of the evidence. So preponderance of the evidence is a really low threshold. That's only 51 to 49% versus beyond a reasonable doubt. If we're going to, you know, put in a percentile type thing, it's like 90%, you know, that the person is guilty. So it's very possible that he can, you know, maybe skirt out the criminal case, but he could still be found liable in the civil case. That's what they did to O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking that they're going to have to settle. And really, I don't even think he's going to be the biggest target of that. It's going to be iHeartMedia. They allowed, through their company and their airwaves, or the airwaves that they lease from the federal government, they allowed this guy to basically manipulate a bunch of their listeners and defraud money. I think that's kind of open and shut. Like, come on. You know what I mean? Like, again, there's going to be some liability there.
Yeah, no, there definitely will be. And, you know, if I was in DJ Envy's shoes, you know, I'd definitely, you know, be concerned. I'd lawyer up. You know, I wouldn't say shit to the police if they come, because I guarantee you they probably already made a pass or tried to talk to him at this point. And yeah, I'd be surprised if he didn't get charged with something. I think there's a 70% chance that he could get charged with something.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say it's fairly high. Yeah, I mean, they executed a search warrant at his place of business, bro. You ain't gonna execute a search warrant at someone's place of business and not try to come after them after, especially if they find fruits of a crime there.
Wow. Hey, damn.
I'd say 70-30. You know, it's not 100% guaranteed, but I think it's 70-30 that he could be charged for this later on. Jeez. Unless he strikes a deal or some shit, but yeah.
Yeah, no. It's. I don't think he ever foresaw this coming, but man, Jesus, chat. I don't know, man. Obviously, we're gonna find out more. So I guess he has to get indicted. Then we're gonna get more information via the indictment document, right?
Yeah, because so what might end up happening? Because keep in mind they charge this guy with a criminal complaint, which is, you know, just, you know, get some paper in there to get him arrested, right? When they indict in about 2 weeks, it's possible that they'll add DJ Envy to that indictment.
Wow.
Yo, Ack.
Yo.
Is this the end of Breakfast Club? What do you think?
Well, I'm honestly, I'm still a little bit in disbelief. Like, I was kind of thinking this was like some jokey shit. Like, obviously, Tony the Closer been saying it. When I saw the news pick it up, I'm like, all right, okay, this is a little bit more serious. Seeing that document that says USA versus, I said, oh shit. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know how he continues how things used to be, right? So I think something's gonna change. I personally think that they're gonna probably say, "Hey, listen, the Feds is executing search warrants up here. They're still probably in the investigative process as this is gonna go to a potential trial." I think they're gonna tell him like, "Yo, hey, listen, you need to take some time off, even if we don't just terminate your employment." I think that's what's gonna happen.
Gotcha. Yo, when they called Tony the Closer the scam observer, I was dying laughing, bro, on the news. Shit was hilarious, dog.
Yo, you say he's a scam watchdog. Yo, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yo, I like DJ Envy too much to even want this to happen. Like, I'm like, no.
Yeah. He's cool, man.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. Like, you know what I mean? He's a cool dude. He gets money. Well, you know, I always think he's getting money legally and stuff like that, but damn. You know what I mean? Listen, I know he don't want to get in an Omi in a Hellcat situation with some forfeiture Yo, with the Omi and the Hellcat, bro, you know all of his jewelry is up on auction site right now, right?
Yeah, bro. That's
Yeah. The Omni case is a whole other, I'm pretty familiar with that case too. And like I said, I don't know DJ Envy personally. You know what I mean? I've heard good things about him. I've heard he's really a good guy and good, really cool off camera. And it's an unfortunate circumstance. But yeah, man. I mean, when you do business with individuals like this, right? Like it could fuck you up, man, big time. But yeah, with the Omni situation, yeah, bro, they basically Omni got hit with like piracy charges, bro, which is like very it's Omi, right? I said Omni, my bad. Omi the Hellcat, yeah. Like with him, he got hit with piracy charges, bro, and like to put things in perspective for you, right? Because the agency I used to work for, HSI, we used to investigate piracy and intellectual property theft, all that stuff. The fact that the FBI did that case and they went after him for piracy tells me that it was egregious, because normally the feds don't chase after piracy cases because they're kind of a waste of time. The people don't normally do that much time after you arrest them for it. So they had a hard-on for him, for them to go after him so aggressively over a piracy charge.
Yeah, no. Again, and I think that's, coming back to this DJ Envy thing, right? I think that's one of the things that I think this wire fraud charge is kind of like the charge they pretty much hit I think they had hit Omi with some tax stuff. Like they had hit him, they hit him for a bunch of stuff at first, and then eventually he just became like that one charge that he just couldn't get out of, but it wasn't completely related to what he was doing. He actually told me, he said he didn't the plea he did was not for piracy, it was actually just for taxes. You get what I mean?
Yeah, but the reason why they were able to hit him with the tax stuff is because in the government's eyes, they looked at it like you made this money illegally through piracy. Like that was what I call like the specified unlawful activity that kind of opened the investigation in the first place. Is because he was making the money illicitly through piracy, and then in the process of making that money illegally, obviously he didn't pay taxes, and then they were able to hit him with the tax charges as well, and forfeit his bank accounts, blah blah blah. But it was the piracy that got everything started.
Okay, I'm going again in make believe La La Land again. If Envy gets charged, right? Let's say Envy gets charged, and somehow the feds say legally y'all are culpable for the losses up to $17 million that people lost. Now, granted, Envy has had a successful career in radio broadcasting. Also, he's gotten a lot of, I would say, legal money, whether it's hosting parties, DJing.
Yeah.
So, he has a lot of assets. Could any of those assets, if it needs to come to a situation of repayment, or could any of them be seized? Could any of those be auctioned off? Because, like, for example, he has a shit ton of cars, like probably like $5 to $8 million worth of cars. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But I would argue none of those were bought with this particular money, but who knows how it looks when everything gets like mixed in one pot, right?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. I'll say this. If Envy puts any of the money that he made illicitly with this guy into a bank account with clean money, all of that money is now forfeitable.
Really?
Yeah. Or if he spends any of that money that was made illicitly, right? Let's say it takes 50% from one bank account and 10% from the illicit bank account to make a purchase. Well, now whatever he purchased is open for seizure.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
Wow.
Yeah, bro. Right. That's why this is like that's why they're going through his bank accounts and they're doing a search warrant. They're trying to figure all this stuff out, identify assets as well as building a criminal case.
One thing I'll say though, at least he's not looking at like for example Tekashi, he was looking at, even though obviously it's a violent crime that they were accused of, they were looking at more than 30 years when it comes to this. Yeah. If generally, which by the way, are you surprised that it's only one count of wire fraud, given the fact that there had to be numerous transactions, numerous victims? If it's only one count of wire fraud right now.
I'll tell you why I'm not surprised. Normally, when you file a criminal complaint, you file it just to get the person arrested and into the judicial system. Maybe you're on a crunch for time. maybe you have the individual right in front of you and they committed a crime and you have the probable cause right there and you just want to make it happen. So what they're probably going to do is they're going to come back and indict it formally with more charges, because clearly he has more than just one investor that he scammed. So I anticipate there's going to be more counts of wire fraud, maybe some conspiracy in there, maybe some money laundering, some other charges, that more trumped up charges later on. But they just filed this criminal complaint with one count so that they can go ahead and get the process going.
Wow. Jesus.
But I 100% they're gonna add more counts and more charges to this. Especially since they've been looking at him since like 2017, and he has multiple investors that he defrauded.
Not gonna lie, man. This whole thing is crazy to me, man. Very crazy indeed.
It's wild, dude. It's wild. But I'm willing to bet the way this case began was the investors got together, went to the United States Attorney's Office, complained and said, hey, I invested this amount of money with this individual, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
U.S. Attorney's Office took the complaint, and then they opened up a case because they have their own special agents, and that's how they ended up getting it. Because a case like this would normally be, FBI or HSI all the way. But the fact that the U.S. Attorney's Office is leading it tells me that the people went and lodged their complaints with the U.S. Attorney's Office first, and then the U.S. Attorney's Office, if a complaint comes their way, they have first right of refusal with their own agents, which I always thought was kind of weird. But yeah, they have their own special agents.
Yeah, Jesus.
And the reason why that's weird for the audience that might be wondering, well, Myron, what are you talking about? Why is it weird? The United States Attorney's Office, guys, is the prosecutorial office. They're responsible for, having the lawyers that actually prosecute the cases. And then you have federal law enforcement agencies like FBI, Homeland Security Investigation, HSI, DEA, ATF, et cetera, marshals. These are all like the big law enforcement agencies. They're the ones that build the cases and then bring the case over to the U.S. Attorney's Office for prosecution. But there are U.S. Attorney's offices that have their own special agents in-house. And typically for them to take those cases, a complaint needs to come to them. Or like, let's say you go to a U.S. Attorney's Office and you cause a ruckus and you assault an employee. The U.S. Attorney's Office special agents are going to investigate that.
Hey, by the way,
they deal with like more minor shit normally.
Hey, by the way, so you were right with the U.S. Attorney's Office and their special agents, but also you know what's listed in here too. There was special agents and task force officers of IRS criminal investigation.
Yes,
that's also listed on here.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Anytime you're dealing with finances, you typically want to bring the IRS on. Also, since you mentioned that, they probably have these guys' tax returns too, guaranteed. So
is it a charge if they didn't declare the scam money they got? Because you can't declare the scam money on the
Yeah. I mean, yeah. If they show less income than if they report less income than what their bank accounts represent, that through what the Fed's got, yeah, that could be problematic for them. So, but yeah, I mean, the reason, so the way to read that, typically, if you look at the first agency that's mentioned in those U.S. DOJ press releases, that's the lead agency. So the fact that the criminal complaint was written by this guy, he has like an Indian name, I forget it escapes me now. But the fact that he's the complainant, that tells me that they were the lead agency.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting, man. By the way, apparently he made bond already, or he has a bond, right? Which it's $1 million, and they believe that he'll be released just to home confinement, and that he, obviously he just can't leave the state or anything like that.
I'm not surprised. It's a non-violent crime. It's one count, so I wouldn't be surprised if they gave him a bond. Normally, if it's a violent crime or you got a pretty bad criminal history, they won't give you a bond. But yeah, I'm not surprised.
Okay. All right. Are you going to be covering this on your own channel?
I might cover it. Yeah. I was thinking about covering that or Tupac or there's another case that's going. Oh, the YNW Melly shit too is going crazy.
Yeah. The YNW Melly thing is interesting. They're doing jury. I spoke on it briefly as I was starting up the stream. I was like, this is probably the most important part of this new trial where they're doing jury selection. I mean, jury selection pretty much helped the last time, right? So they're picking the new jury now, and we'll see what happens with that one.
Yeah, Me and you have talked about this case extensively, Ack, with the YNW Melly thing. I think me and you are both on the same page when we say that the evidence is fairly staggering and overwhelming, not in Melly's favor. But what I will say is that the DA's office here fucked up big time, man. They didn't disclose Brady material, and right now, they've basically given Melly's defense a chance to really hurt the credibility of the detective in this situation. But yeah, it's interesting, man.
Hey, by the way,
yeah.
Did you see the U.S. state? I think it's a state attorney. No, the state attorney testified basically damn near for the defense, basically saying, "Yo, yeah, I heard the detective say to another detective like, hey, you need to say you were here when I executed a search warrant." And basically, she was just like, "Oh, we're lying now." And she was like, "Yo, me personally, I was done with the case." Which, by the way, it seems like it was an indictment on the county prosecutor, the Broward County prosecutor, the lady who got taken off the case. I thought that was a political play. Why would the state attorney basically give a testimony in open court that goes against what the DA for the county is saying, and basically saying the DA even taking this case and furthering it without admitting these things? The DA is operating on an unethical type of way. I feel like it was a political thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that.
Yeah, basically, the attorney, since she was there when Moretti did that stupid shit with the phone, she instantly made herself a witness, and that's a big no-no as a prosecutor. So that's why they had to basically pull her off the case. And then, the detective, now that there's these allegations of him doing this, he's going to have some giglio problems as far as like his credibility and character and, lack of candor, all this other shit. So I wouldn't be surprised if the detective isn't going through an internal investigation right now as well, based on these things.
All right. Listen, I'm about to play this video. Yo, if you're around like in a few hours, I don't know if you want to hop up. Well, you don't have a you doing Fresh and Fit tonight, or like daytime show?
No. I'm on a road trip here with Fresh, man. So just
okay. All right. Yeah, let me play this video. I want to give you a call like back in an hour. I don't know if you're gonna be around, but we're just kind of going through some stuff.
Do your thing, bro. Do your thing. Just hit me back. You got my number.
All right, definitely. Appreciate you. By the way, everybody, thank you to Myron Gaines from obviously Fresh and Fit. This is my guys, man. Like, listen, if you really want more in depth like conversation about just the law in general, he knows way more than me. I'm like a ghetto commentator. I feel like I know some shit about the legal process.
Yeah, I do breakdowns like this on my Fed Reacts channel, so if people want to check it out. And then sometimes we have conversations like this on Fresh and Fit too, man. So yeah, guys, go check it out and subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. Fresh and Fit and Fed Reacts.
Definitely. You guys go check that out. Myron, I'm going to hit you back, all right?
All right, thanks, man. Peace.
All right, cool. All right, chat. Let me play this video right here, okay? Give me a second. This is the video that Spencer Cornelia made like 2 weeks ago. Let's see what it has to say. It's basically saying if Envy's going to prison, okay? By the way, after this plays, we're going to move on off of the Envy topic in a little bit. But let me just play this, and I'm going to read the criminal complaint, and then we will see, all right? Give me 1 second. All right, is this thing going to load? All right, here we go. Let me see. Is this going to load? What the fuck is going on with YouTube today? Hold on. Chat, I'm online, right? Why the hell YouTube is taking forever to load?
The first video I made covering this story went crazy. Many of you are saying Caesar should be in prison. Some of you want DJ Envy in prison too. After releasing the video, it fully hit me how large this Ponzi scheme is. After a few more victims sent me DMs on Instagram stating they lost a combined $700,000 to Caesar, I realized this is far bigger than I imagined. I even interviewed a real estate attorney based in New Jersey to help assist in understanding what's next in this case. Are Caesar Pena and DJ Envy going to end up in prison? So far, only civil lawsuits have been filed against Caesar Pena and DJ Envy. Why haven't we seen any criminal charges yet?
Well, obviously the government still needs to investigate the case. Before they come forward with charges, they're going to investigate the case in graphic detail. They're going to get as much evidence as they can. They're going to compile it together, and then they're going to move forward guns blazing. They're going to speak to every victim. They're going to speak to attorneys. They're going to gather information. They're going to get all evidence that they have that they can use against them. They're going to have it ready before they move forward with their case.
Unfortunately, it takes time for the federal authorities to gather substantial evidence necessary to win in court, but Caesar's time is coming. Seeing my dreams unfold, nightmares come true, it was time to marry my prison cell, and I said, yeah, I do. Here's DJ Envy daydreaming about being innocent in this Ponzi scheme.
So really, I think the question's going to rely on, did he know that this was a scheme, and did he use his public influence to perpetuate that scheme? That's going to be the question.
In civil lawsuits, everything gets exposed to the public.
Through those lawsuits, there's going to be something called discovery. And discovery is when depositions are conducted, notice to produce documents are sent out, requests for admissions, interrogatories. That's when both sides are trying to compile as much information as possible on exactly what happened. And through the discovery process, people learn things.
I have a theory. I think the reason why Envy hasn't publicly blasted Caesar yet is because he needs Caesar to stay quiet about his involvement. One of the victims just sent me this image. Caesar put all of his Ohio houses in his daughter's name a couple weeks ago on August 9th. Caesar
guilty!
Deleted his Instagram last night, and I've been told he's on the run.
I think right now, a case against Caesar is much more obvious than a case against DJ Envy. Looking at it kind of from a legal point of view, vantage point, I think it's going to be a hard case for them to prove that DJ Envy knew about this and was perpetuating it.
DJ Envy claims to have lost a significant amount of money in the Taylor Court Apartments deal and had no knowledge of the scheme. But he also had an office next door to Caesar for years. In the first video, I described how numerous investors came to Caesar's office demanding their payment back. DJ Envy is trying to convince us that he had no idea numerous investors were storming into the office next to his demanding money. And you were still promoting Caesar when your multi-million-dollar project that was supposed to be underway for 3 years looked like this?
If he had no idea, and there is obviously question to that because he was an investor himself and he is owed money by Caesar. I think it's about $500,000, something like that. So I think
that's the interesting thing, chat. So Envy says he was also scammed. So it's like, he says if he's a victim as well, so how could he be the one doing the scamming if he got scammed too?
It furthers his point that he had no clue that this was going on, that he in fact made money from initial investments, and based off that happening, based off making that money, he kind of pushed this idea that you can invest in real estate, flip homes, make money, and people relied on those representations. But in order for him to have accountability here is if he knew about it and continued to push it, if continued to promote him.
Caesar paid Envy early in the scheme so that he would then promote that the investment was legit. It never was, and the signs were pretty obvious. The two victims that just reached out to me both believe that Envy was taking a percentage of the profits. My current position right now is that at some point Envy knew everything wasn't good and still promoted and received a profit, which means he likely has real liability here. Caesar promoted 30% returns in 6 months, which is already a huge red flag. Anyone who knows real estate knows that it actually makes 0 sense for Caesar to offer this. If he was as experienced and legitimate as he claims, he could borrow hard money at 10 to 14% a year. Why give the investors 30% every 6 months if you can borrow for half that over the full year? DJ Envy promoted Caesar for multiple years to millions of people on his radio show and Instagram. He shared the stage with him at seminars. He had a team handling attendees' information to upsell them into investment opportunities at the seminars. Caesar was then promoting investment opportunities to these attendees at an office next door to Envy. Envy is trying to convince us that he lent out his credibility and reputation to a criminal and scammer to millions of people and didn't make $1 off of that? Come on, man. Caesar wants his phone number hidden from the feds right now since they're probably starting to call him. If you want your personal data, phone number, and personal address hidden as well, I have the us. This chart highlights just how many large-scale data breaches there were last year alone. The DOJ recently found these 3
that he was still perpetuating this narrative that make 25, 30, 35% in 5, 6, 7, 8 months, then there's a problem for him.
During discovery of the civil cases and during the inevitable criminal cases for Caesar, we're going to find out when DJ Envy knew that this investment opportunity was not legitimate and what his behavior was after.
What's up, y'all? This is DJ.
Still promoted the opportunity.
It could very well be the same
Flippin' NJ
that Caesar had.
And send us all your money and we gonna make sure you get some properties.
Same crime.
For my teachers that said I wouldn't make it here, I scam a day what you make a year. Might get hit with the RICO. Let's do a quick breakdown of what type of crime Caesar committed. Caesar was acquiring commercial loans on properties and raising money from investors for the same property. Not disclosing that fact to investors is fraud, and taking a loan for renovations and never even renovating the property is mortgage fraud. Receiving money via wire from investors is also a crime. Can you guess which one?
If money was wired into an account that was supposed to be used for an investment, but it wasn't, and the person who sent the money relied on that representation, now you have wire fraud. You know, a lot of people don't know, when you have a wire fraud case, every single wire is a charge. Every single exchange of funds is a charge. That's
damn.
And every charge carries years in prison.
From what I've seen, I'm convinced that Caesar committed over 100 crimes in this scheme. Here's one I didn't even think of before.
It can be as simple as an IRS issue where he took money that was supposed to be invested for a project and
By the way, chat, this guy knows a lot. This guy right here, the reason why everything he's saying, he said this before the charges came down, or the charge came down on Caesar, and he's kind of right. The IRS is involved in the investigation. Everything he's saying is kind of coming to fruition in terms of the crimes that were committed.
Patterson, but then took that money and used it to buy a car or use it to buy a personal item, and he didn't declare that income on his tax return. If he did that one time, okay, you could make the excuse that I didn't know, I wasn't aware that I had to report that. But if the IRS can prove that this was systematic, that he did it over and over again, and he failed to declare income, that's tax evasion. You can go to prison just for that.
The Piñas were still living in their Franklin Lakes mansion this summer despite their first and second mortgages going into default. I would not be surprised if they falsified tax returns to acquire loans for the sole purpose of taking the money. Add another charge to the crime scoreboard. We know that Caesar was signing joint venture agreements with the investors, which left them unprotected.
These situations, these were all, for the most part, unsecured. It was just a joint venture agreement. So it was person investing money with Caesar, okay, his company. That company would use that money to do X, Y, and Z. And in 5 months, 6 months, here's how much you would make back. I think most people just wanted to know, okay, I'm giving you 200 grand. How much are you giving me back? But it's not that simple. Attorneys are trained to think worst case scenario. But I think when people signed these agreements, they thought best case scenario. My best case scenario is I'm going to give this guy 100 grand. He's going to give me back 135. That's 35%. I don't know of anything providing those type of returns right now. I don't know of a single investment. So when he presented these agreements, I think he presented it to them in a way of, look, I have this property. Here's this house. Give me 100 grand. I've done it before. I did it for this person. I did it for DJ Envy. Look how much he made. And they relied on that representation. And that's where you come to the question of fraud. Was this fraud? I'm not saying it was, but that's the question that needs to be.
Clearly fraud. By the way, Luca Brasi, thank you for the 5 pounds. He says, yo, Ak, the Breakfast Club will be hosted by Charlemagne the God and Jason Lee. Envy will have to resign. Tyrese is already in them DMs again, telling his wife, let's pray. Holy, you guys ain't shit. Justin Clark, thank you for the 10. He says, yo, don't worry, Envy. Tyrese will take real good care of your wife while you're gone. By the way, Envy, if you see this ain't me reading this. These is my donations. This ain't got nothing to do with me, brother. Don't box me in my mouth. I don't got no sauce with you, brother. Okay? Ruger Red, thank you for the 5. He says, yo, your boy Prime was grinding over what? Al Weezy. What the fuck is that? Prime, like you talking about Aiden Ross's friend? Ernest Nomo. He says, yo, where did Caesar get the money to bond out? That's what. Oh, I should have asked Myron that, because if I think we're all under the belief that, bro, this is a financial crime. We're imagining that they froze your accounts. Where do you get the money? Unless maybe his wife, who's not charged, had maybe a separate account that's only in her name that wasn't connected to none of this, and maybe his wife bailed him out, right? Zay2 Trippy, thank you for the 10. He said, yo, Act, do you think this is a play from Drake? Hear me out. Oh my God. You think this is a play from Drake, brother? Okay, he said, let me hear you out. He says, he finally gets fed up with Charlemagne. He got mob ties. Mob has Fed ties. Breakfast Club gonna be looking for a new DJ. All right, I see what you did there, but I don't know. Rashad Boy, thank you for the 5. He said, yo, Act, talk more about the new artist RX Poppy. And who is RX Poppy? I don't know who that is. And RXK Nephew, I don't know who those artists are yet. Lex Parker, thank you for the 5. He said, yo, dudes, especially scammers, do crimes knowing they'll get caught. So I said, is Envy too good to pass a lick up for 17 million? I know dudes who purposely did years for less. So I guess he's trying to say a lot of scammers know that if they scam hard enough, they're probably going to get caught. But even listen to what Myron was saying. If the consequences of the years you're going to spend in jail is like 5 years and you get to make like 15 or 20 million dollars. Chat, let me ask you a question. You're going to get caught and you're going to do 5 years in jail, but you scammed $20 million and the government couldn't find 15 of it. So you got 15 million hidden. So whenever you do your jail time, you're going to come back home to 15 million. Is it worth it? I'm not saying people would just be signing up left and right, but like I think some people might be able to understand that math to be like, well, you know, I still come home with some money. Now, granted, usually it's not supposed to be like that. You're supposed to get tied up in litigation from civil suits that's going to have you bankrupt anyway, or the feds are supposed to have some type of forfeiture where they're supposed to try to take everything you own. But as you can see what they were mentioning in this video early on, Caesar is moving properties into his kid's name already, which is already kind of like a red flag, which is kind of like, hey, I know this shit's going down.
The answer.
The major mistake that investors made was giving Caesar money without having their money secured by anything. When you flip houses and need money for the purchase and renovation, you acquire a hard money loan. The lenders place a lien on the property, and if you don't pay them back according to the terms of the agreement, they can foreclose on you and recoup their money through the sale of the asset. These investors didn't have a lien on the property, so they didn't actually own anything. It was just a signed piece of paper with Caesar, essentially.
When it's a secured transaction, literally, if you don't get your money back, you can foreclose, you can file an action for specific performance, you can go to the court and say, I lent my money to this investor to rehab this property. He owns the property, but he hasn't rehabbed it. Please force the sale of this property so I can get back my money. Or
by the way, Brian Wade, thank you for the 5. He says, yo, act. Let's be real, man. The feds have already got at least a conspiracy case on Envy at minimum. They're going to offer him a proffer session and he'll get a 5K1. Target letter already sent. Okay. Brandon Hahn, thank you for the 2. He says, I fear God and the FBI. PT Bullet Boy Gaming, thank you for the 5. He says, man, he got hit with money laundering. Let me see. He got hit with money laundering. What? Oh, he got hit with money laundering as well. Drug dealer and scammer. That's why I think the DEA is involved. Cult of Masculinity, thank you for 5. He says, yo, do you think eventually all the crypto scammers like Logan Paul would get caught? If Envy got caught after all this time. That's interesting. Aren't the crypto scammers getting caught like actively already? Derek Gandy, it says, shout to Tony the Scam Dog. And Isosa Osawiyem, he says, sending regards. Any updates on the Ye album? I'm going to get into that in a little while. Wow. A lot of shit going on. Let's finish this video, then we're going to go into, I'm going to read quickly through this criminal complaint, then we'll move on from this Envy thing. Again, fucked up situation.
You can foreclose on the mortgage and have the property go up for a sheriff sale. When it does sell, you'll get back your money then. But that's not what happened here. This was, here's $100,000. Let me know when my 135 is ready. So obviously there's a lot of people that were damaged by this. So now they have to go run to the courthouse and file a lawsuit in something called the Law Division.
I don't know what you heard about me, but my investors can't get $1 out of me. No Cadillacs or investment dollars you won't see. In prison, my ass cheeks are going to CLAP. Caesar is facing numerous civil lawsuits and likely will be facing criminal complaints soon. Now let's discuss how the victims can get paid back.
They could win a couple ways. They could win by technicality if they don't answer discovery or something like that. They could win on summary judgment, basically saying, hey, court, there's no dispute here. If we take everything that we say as fact and you view it in the light most favorable to the defendant, I still win. And the court could issue a summary judgment. Or it can go to trial and you can get a judgment and the judge can rule in your favor. But all that is, like what I was telling you earlier, it's a piece of paper that says Caesar owes me this much. That's it.
An unfortunate reality for victims in Ponzi schemes like this one is that collecting becomes the next problem. You can have a signed contract with Caesar and be able to win a lawsuit, but if he doesn't have any money, you don't have any money to collect.
Now you have to go collect on that piece of paper. And that's what a lot of people, they don't realize. They think that the judge is going to go out there and turn Caesar upside down and shake him from his his pants and the money. No, that's not going to happen.
Not all hope is lost. Given that Caesar does own some of these properties without a mortgage, there is a way to force a sale.
If they can prove the money they invested was going to be used specifically for a property, and that property isn't liened or encumbered, they can file a specific performance suit and force the sale of that property. But again, who owns the property? Are there liens? Are there tax liens? We don't know.
Many of these investors likely signed up thinking Caesar owned $50 million in real estate. If things go wrong, he could sell a property and pay the victims back, right? Well, maybe not.
He said, I have $50 million in real estate. But what does that mean? Does he have $50 million in real estate and $70 million?
By the way, Reggae, thank you for the 5 on the Academy page. He says, yo, Ak, what if Envy knew things went bad and stayed silent and allowed others to be scammed by not exposing Caesar? Do you think he'd be charged? That's a good question. I wish Myron was on here. Like, I'll actually keep that if we get Myron back on here. So you're saying him knowing the crime was happening. If I'm taking what Myron said, he said it's about the facilitation. If you allowed it, right, you're probably culpable. I'm not sure if it's you just were silent. Like, for example, just put in the simple terms, if I'm here and I witnessed or I seen something happen, right, or I allowed a crime to go on, but I didn't help it, I mean, there's probably some amendment right that probably protects me from not either speaking out or something of the sort. But I think this is convoluted because Envy is involved in the organization, which means, people's disposition is going to be, we are getting into this scam or Ponzi scheme because of you. So if you did know there was a crime going on and you didn't explicitly speak out or try to stop it, you pretty much, by definition, implicitly allowed it to happen or kind of contributed in some way, right? Failed Town USA, thank you for the 2. He says, yo, somebody's account's now frozen. Are you saying Caesar's account's now frozen? Probably. Okay. All right. Let me finish this video. Sorry, Chad. Only like 2 more minutes left. Or $4
million in mortgages? We don't know. You can have $1 billion in real estate, but if the properties aren't worth more than what you owe on them or more than what the liens are, you could very well be in the negative. So he could have $50 million in real estate, but a $20 million negative net worth.
Since the last video was released, another lawsuit has been filed against Caesar. Ruddy Rodriguez filed a complaint alleging Caesar took $100,000 for the 523 Park Ave property that probably sounds familiar to a lot of you by now. Additionally, 3 new investors reached out to me privately sharing they've lost a combined $700,000 that I haven't reported on. Correction, I just had another 3 reach out to me totaling an additional $2.4 million in losses. It's entirely possible that Caesar's real estate empire was built on investor money in the...
Teddy, thank you for the donation on Streamlabs. He says, Ak, did you see the TMZ story about you? Is it the one where they basically have me laughing? Yeah, I did see the one that... It was my commentary on this. I don't like that story because it kind of makes it seem like I'm just laughing at the victims, which I kind of guess I was. But in reality, I was just thinking like, dog, and maybe this is to blame Envy. Like, bro, I don't, listen, chat. I know some of y'all might love me and fuck with me, but don't love me that enough to go donate your life savings if I said it. Do your due diligence. If I give you any advice, I don't care what advice I give you, please do your due diligence. You have to realize if somebody... for example, like me, in a position that I am, or anybody else with some type of notoriety or fame, if I'm telling you something, there might be some type of financial incentive for me. So don't think that it's going to be an upside for you. Do your due diligence. Make sure protect yourself. I don't care how much you love the entertainer, the person that's telling you. Like, yeah, you might trust me in a lot of things, but me telling you how to spend your money, please. And by the way, we actually got a sponsor today, so I'm gonna be doing a sponsorship. Even with that, don't take it as, oh, Axe said it, so it's fact. Please make an educated decision for yourself. Do not just go blindly off shit, okay? And be very skeptical of who's telling you shit. I'm just sorry. So like when I hear about the Envy shit, it's like, I'm like, bro, you would give a nigga $800,000 for what? Like, and have no idea. Nigga, at very least, right? At the very least, if I'm giving Caesar, right, this motherfucking porcupine, $800,000, I'm going to at least get on Zillow. I'm going to go on, say if it's in Jersey, or any town that he says he's going to invest your money in, go to the parcels website or go to the fucking county hall or the town hall and see, and pull up the property parcel for what the investment is going to be on. Okay, let's see the previous owners. Let's see who owns it now. I'm not blindly giving a motherfucker $800,000 to go invest in some property in the hood, and I don't even know who owns the property. We're all hearing the same thing. The nigga was selling people the idea of investing in property or investing in purchasing certain properties. He already owned the properties. So he was just taking people's money. So what it's telling me is that due diligence wasn't done. And even if it was hidden under a certain type of like, okay, maybe it's hidden under a shell company, this and third, I would want to know a little bit more. $800,000 is a lot of fucking money. People get whacked for that type of shit. Matter of fact, fuck it, even if it's $50,000, you just hand somebody $50,000 based on word of mouth. Envy don't DJ that good. Envy, like, I don't care how many times he said, good morning, it's a Breakfast Club, DJ. I don't give a fuck what he's saying. My thing is, the reason why I laugh at the investors a bit is because there was a gross, damn, I just spilled some shit on my keyboard. Fuck. Hopefully this ain't break. There was a gross negligence on the behalf of the investors too. Like I wanted to be like, oh yeah, they're not no little kids. These are grown men. If it took you, put it like this, and this is another thing that I get upset about. If it took you a decade to go get $100,000, you should at least take a considerable amount of time for you to hand that money over to somebody else. I'm just being honest. It should take you a considerable amount of time and research and doing your due diligence for you to say, here, take it. The Breakfast Club ain't that funny for you to just give your life savings away. And if you're that gullible to be like anybody who comes on the platform of the entertainers you like, and they start talking about getting your money, if you're that gullible to give them your money that quickly, bro, well, I have to be in the belief that you're gonna lose that money anyway. And if that's the case, it's like, I can't help you either way.
In the Ponzi scheme. This is Jenny Tips, Caesar's wife. One of Jenny's close friends is this woman named Teresa Giudice. On March 4th, 2014, Teresa and her husband Joe entered a guilty plea to 41 counts of fraud following a deal struck with federal prosecutors. The couple was accused of engaging in bank, mail, wire, and bankruptcy fraud, which allegedly saw them net over $5 million over a 10-year period. That sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? Their conversations probably go like this. Hey Jenny, has your husband committed more felonies than my husband yet? Haha, girl, my hubby has yours beat by a long shot. Jenny, if you ever need help with navigating prison after committing fraud, I'll be glad to help. Caesar and Jennifer are going to start collecting default judgments with all of the victims lining up. Here's what could happen.
Now, if you do get a judgment, in New Jersey, the process is...
Thank you, bigger bands. How do you let DJ Envy, with all due respect to Envy, I like you, but please don't catch no feelings, I'm sorry. How you let DJ Envy affect your financial decisions? Half the time I'm listening to the Breakfast Club, these niggas can't even read what's on the fucking paper. No disrespect to none of those people up there. I really like them. I appeared on their program and they did amazing. But these niggas could barely read what's on the fucking rumor report. You think I'm giving them $1 million? Fuck no, man. You crazy as hell. Y'all niggas is out of y'all goddamn mind, man. These niggas can't pronounce shit, can't read, and I'm giving, hell no. You bring some nigga who's diabetic on here, the nigga got like a 10X t-shirt thinking it's 2003. The nigga wearing Timbs and the Timbs look like it's squealing. Help me! Like, Jesus Christ. You gave that nigga $800,000. It took you 20 years to get it. You gave it to him in 20 minutes. You might be the dummy. I'm sorry. You might be the dummy. That's why I'm talking about a donkey of the day. I'm sorry. I can't feel too bad for you. Like, come on, bruh. Like, bruh, let me tell you this. If I ain't gonna say I'm beyond getting got, but if you gonna get me, you gonna sound a lot smarter than me. Here's the problem, though, and this is where my sympathy does come in. A lot of times people think your wealth or you having money means you're great with money. That's not the truth. Usually it's the opposite. A lot of these entertainers who have money, it's not because they were great with money, it's because they got money that they ascertained through a certain skill. DJ Envy's a great broadcaster, great DJ. That's how he got his money. Not by being financially literate, brother. That's why a lot of these basketball players go broke. Most of these people that you're thinking like, well, I should listen to, because that's, when you don't have money, that's the thing you're thinking. Well, I should listen to the person with money because they have money, they're going to teach me to be like them. No, half of these niggas with money, they don't know what's going on. You get what I mean? It's a reason why you ask all of them, they got 20 business managers, account managers, they have the biggest firms that's actually monitoring their finances, because honestly, they don't know. Only thing they know how to do is spend money and spend money. So again, I'm not listening to, with all due respect, I'm not listening to Gillian Wallow tell me about a goddamn bank account. I'm not listening to them to tell me about a goddamn investment. I don't want to hear motherfucking DJ Envy and Charlamagne tell me about no goddamn investment. I'm not listening to none of y'all niggas. The only thing y'all niggas can tell me about is the streets and hip hop. Y'all can't tell me about no goddamn money. Okay? I'm sorry. No way, no how. Okay? Look like, I'll put it like this too, because I'm not keeping myself exempt. If you got your life savings, listen, I don't care how well you think I speak at times, how much you might think I exude like a high intellect. Don't listen to me, nigga. You listen to me more for who got the best burgers, nigga. Don't listen to me with what your money is. Please, don't listen to me. Don't even listen to me. I'm trying to tell you the facts. Because if you niggas had got scammed for some shit I told you, I was laughing at y'all too. Like, these dumbass niggas really gave me $17 million? These niggas are stupid. You know what I mean? Like, god damn. What the fuck is up with y'all, man?
You could serve something called an information subpoena. And you could say, hey, defendant, I have a judgment against you. You owe me $1 million.
I don't know why this is a tangent. I don't know why this story is even relevant, but this is funny too. Chat, it's like this. I used to work at a store called what store was it? I used to work at was it Nordstrom? Might have been Nordstrom. No, it's a store called I think it was Nordstrom. Anyway, I'm working at Nordstrom. There was a supervisor. I used to work in the men's section. There was a supervisor that was working there. He's making a decent amount of money. And there was a new employee that kind of got put in the same, same department like me. The person who got put in the same department as me, he was like a plug, right? He was like a plug for, I guess he was selling weed. Like, that's before in Jersey when weed was legal. Weed is legal now, or certain amounts. Anyway, the smart ass, I'm gonna call him Square, supervisor, looks at the employee, right? And I guess he got tired of like, here's this amount of money, bring me back this, blah, blah. On the dumbest, and I don't know weed amounts or what, so you tell me how much this is. One day, he looks at the employee, remember, he's a supervisor. He looks at him and says, yo, you think I could get like a bulk order type shit? He basically says he used to give him like $100, $200, right? One day he fucks around and gave a nigga $6,500 to go buy some, like, a lot. I don't know how much $6,500 in weed gets, but it's a lot, okay? You know what happened? The motherfucker, by the way, every single time before, give him $200, bring the weed back. Give him this, bring the weed back. The nigga got $6,500, realized he won't make $6,500 at this job until 3 months. You know what he did? Never showed back up. The fuck? Like, he looked at the money and said, wait, so let me get this straight. You want me to bring back just a lot of weed? You want to buy it wholesale from me when you know I'm working for you for this amount, and for me to get this amount of money, it would take me 3 months. Guy's like, yeah. Okay, I'll be back. Nigga never came back. Nigga never came back, bro. I never knew the story, so I'm like, yo, what happened to so-and-so? Then I finally talked to the nigga and be like, yo, bro, I gave him money, he never came back. And I looked at the supervisor, I said, I knew you was a stupid nigga in position. You just got that supervisor title because you work here long, nigga. It's not because you're smart. But yeah, come on, dog. All right, anyway, let me finish this fucking video. I know people said we saw envy.
Where are your bank accounts? How many cars do you have? Do you own any jewelry? I need a list of all the real estate that you own, any companies that you have a holding in, all this financial information. Most defendants either ignore it or they don't want to answer it, or they answer it incorrectly, or they answer it incomplete. If that happens, the plaintiffs could actually file a request for the defendant's arrest. If that warrant is signed by a judge in a civil court, they're not going to go and issue an arrest warrant and go to his house and arrest him. But if he's pulled over and he's flagged to have a warrant warrant under a failure to respond to an information subpoena, they could arrest him. And again, these aren't criminal charges, but force him to answer that subpoena.
Caesar appears to be avoiding the civil lawsuits. I asked Peter if he could do this.
Civilly, of course. You let it all go into default, get all these judgments, and then go file bankruptcy.
Caesar spent years
on some 50 Cent shit,
claiming to be a real estate mogul, but now that it's time to pay his debts, he went ghost. We know he owns properties, so hopefully these will be forced sales and money goes to the victims.
I'm not a bankruptcy attorney, but I know from experience through real estate litigation, there is a nuance with bankruptcy where if the debt that you owe was a result of a fraud, meaning you took on that debt knowing that you might file bankruptcy or knowing you couldn't pay off that debt, it could become non-dischargeable in bankruptcy.
All of this is the least of Caesar and Jenny's worries. The feds are surely investigating by now, which means it's almost over for them. This is clearly a fraud scheme, and they'll have no problem building a strong case against them. And when Caesar gets out of prison, the only job available to him will be dog walking.
And now Caesar and I own over 2,000 properties worth probably around $100 million.
If they do, time to sell and pay off the victims. If you didn't own that much, then you committed false advertising fraud. If you raised money from investors based on claims that you owned $100 million in real estate, and you didn't, and then Caesar and Envy took the money and ran, you deserve prison time. Shout out to Tony the Closer for leading the charge on this story and holding DJ Envy and Caesar Pena accountable. We have one final character that hasn't been introduced yet.
When am I getting my rent? What kind of property manager are you? It's not my fault, man.
The kind that has a sharp haircut all the time, I'll tell you that much.
Lucci is Caesar's brother, and he is crazy. How many times has your brother fired you? Every day.
Lucci is my favorite character in this story. Lucci is a member of...
Wait, these niggas had a reality show?
The team and should be included in depositions as well. Considering he's Caesar's brother, I wouldn't be surprised if he knew about the Ponzi scheme. This definitely does not look like someone involved in a criminal operation. He also looks like Hard Rock Nick's cousin. Lucci is the only property manager I know that gives his tenants cash money. At least he always keeps his relationships professional.
Listen, it's going down December 9th. Come check us out with my big bro Flippin' NJ and DJ MB. This is going to be our second seminar.
I've never seen a property manager hold so much cash and focus so much on his jewelry. And if there's anyone I want dealing with my money, it's a guy that definitely looks like this. Given how frequently he and his friends visit cash-heavy businesses, I'm very skeptical of where the rent money is going after being collected. He's also the first contractor in the history of real estate to visit a nail salon. It gets even better. Looking at Caesar, we know this is a family that likes to eat, but sometimes it's not just food being eaten.
You see how sexy I'm getting and slim putos? You know the diet? Eat a lot of pussy, right? A lot of pussy.
This is the guy Caesar hires for construction projects and to manage his alleged real estate empire. Remember, Envy and Caesar own $100 million worth of real estate, yet 30 or more victims haven't been paid $1. Maybe they mean they own their property in the metaverse. Thanks for watching.
All right. Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. 4 seasons. Thank you for the 5 years. Yo, skip all this and talk about Trigger, man. You haven't talked about him since me, him, and August beef. What the fuck? You and him were beefing? He said, by the way, I'm a huge fan of you. You're the go-to media. Thank you, brother. Young Kobe, thank you for the 5. He said, I need your advice. I put a down payment on the Statue of Liberty through Envy. I'm here now. They don't believe me. What should I do? Oh, man. Somebody says, I found Envy had a $700K of IRS debt in, whoa, how the fuck you find all that? In 2018 and 2019. Gabe XYZ says, Drake played an unreleased Cardi song on OVO radio, then Cardi announced he's pushing the album back till 2024. Do you think constantly delaying hurts him? No, it's Cardi. It's Cardi. People can always love him. Then what else? Pressa, thank you for the 10, is that New Zealand dollars? He says, need that tag team cage match, Envy and Caesar versus Tony the Closer and Tyrese. And AB Kirk, thank you for the 2. He says, only folks who can talk money are on NBC, not BT. Okay. And PT Bullet Boy Gaming says, yo, never seen Facts face, but I'm ready to give him 150K. Holy. Y'all niggas is tripping, man. All right. 2SS Havoc, thank you for the 5. It says, yo, it's funny how Envy going through all this after it told Tyrese he wanted to box his mouth. Who knows? Tyrese probably secretly exposed him. All right. Let's just kind of go through this. This is the complaint, right? It was filed in the U.S. District Court. So it's the United States of America versus Caesar, Humberto Pina, aka Flippin' NJ, and this is the special agent. This is one that had the name that Myron was saying was like Indian, Pankaj Sharma. Being duly sworn, state the following is true and correct to the best of my knowledge. I further state blah blah blah. Okay, cool. All right. They're saying that from in or around 2017 through in and around May 23 in Passaic and Bergen counties and district blah blah, the defendant knowingly and intentionally devised and intended to devise a scheme to artifice and defraud and to obtain money and property by means of materially false and fraudulent pretenses, representations and promises and blah blah blah. Okay. And calls to be transmitted by means of wire communications in interstate and foreign commerce. Certain writings, signs, signals, and blah blah sounds. Okay. All right. Pankaj Sharma. All right. Holy shit. There's a lot here. There is a lot here. Jesus Christ. All right, chat. I'm not even going to get into all of this type of stuff. Okay? They have a bunch of victims. Let's see where they do mention Envy at. By the way, real quick, because I gotta go open this door real quick. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I just gotta open this door real quick. I'm gonna just play this while I open. Why my YouTube shit is acting up today? Somebody said, reach out to Grant Cardone. He'll break this down for everybody. All right, hold on. By the way, this was Envy reacting. Just give me 1 second. I just got to open this door, all right? Give me 1 second.
Been a lot going on, Charlamagne.
Like what?
Don't say like what, man. There's been a million and one accusations.
Oh, my God, no.
I'm being serious. So let me explain some things. I'm not, my attorneys don't want me to speak, but I think there's things that I need to clear up a little bit.
I think you should listen to your attorneys. Why don't light-skinned people like to listen? Like, if your attorney told you don't say nothing, why are you talking?
Listen, so Caesar and myself did seminars. Now, the reason I did these seminars is because I wanted to uplift my community. I wanted to teach my community about real estate, things that I didn't know when I was first buying my first home. I wanted to teach our community about investing in generational wealth. So I did these seminars and brought industry professionals to all these seminars, whether it was real estate agents from different markets, contractors, conventional lenders, hard money lenders. I even brought auction.com to actually show people how to purchase houses online. That's what I wanted to do for my people. Now, Caesar, if he took money, I wasn't privy to it, nor did I even know. But I do understand how people feel if they did give him money.
Yo, I like how the way Envy said, now Caesar, that boy cooperating. Envy, I'm with you. Tell on that nigga, man.
Because I gave him a lot of money.
Jesus.
That I didn't see a dollar of return. But for anybody to say I would...
Yo, Charlamagne probably so happy inside. You know, Charlamagne really the richest nigga at the Breakfast Club, but he been acting like he broke since that nigga been acting like he broke since he got on the radio. He probably be like, thank God I've been acting like I broke and I was never investing my millions in this shit.
Involved? That's totally not true. I would never. I've been on this radio close to 30 years, and never in my 30 years time did I do nothing but try to uplift people and show people a different way through the business mind, and I would never take a dollar from somebody.
I could be wrong, but I didn't see nobody accusing you of taking money. I just saw them say that they met Caesar because they heard you talking about Caesar.
Nah, they basically said I was privy to it, and that wasn't true. Not at all.
I from what I read in actual court papers, I didn't see that. They said that all these people are saying that they met Caesar because of you.
Right, and they're saying
I don't see nobody accusing you of taking no money.
To the point where if you read the court documents, Caesar wrote an affidavit that says DJ Envy, Rashawn Casey, had no knowledge of me investing people's money.
I saw that too.
He wasn't there. He wasn't part of those conversations. He wasn't even nowhere in those meetings. And those are documents that's out there. So if we're going to talk about truth, let's talk about the truth. And those are the documents out there. And
well,
I know
you can't talk about the truth yet because your lawyers don't want you talking at all. So the smart thing to do is, I understand you want to say something to the listeners, and I'm sure the listeners appreciate it. But man, just wait until all the dust settles. And when all the dust settles, then we can get on this radio and have a real conversation. Until then, I don't think you should be saying any of this. But that's just me. You can't even help me.
All right. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna skim through this just to point out where they allude to DJ Envy. Obviously, this flipping NJ nigga look like he guilty, bro. Let's be honest, right? Let's see where they kind of bring Envy's name in. He's not listed in this criminal complaint. Doesn't mean if he'll be charged in the future, but right now he's not listed. Okay, here we go. The defendant, relevant entities, and overview of the scheme. Okay, y'all can see it. He says, at all times relevant to this complaint, defendant Cesar Humberto, aka Flippin' NJ, resided in New Jersey and held himself out to be a real estate investor, developer, and flipper. Pena and his business partner, a well-known disc jockey and radio personality, Individual One, operated a company that conducted real estate seminars around the country. Together, they use Individual's One celebrity. This is an interesting word in this complaint. It says together. Together means you're doing it in cohesion. Together means you're both doing this. Together kind of seems like you're both in on it. I'm probably taking words a little bit too literal, but again, our only angle here is like, we know this Caesar nigga is like pretty much done deal. We want to know if Envy is going to get charged or if Envy is really a subject of this investigation or prosecution. Together, they used individual celebrity to promote various real estate enterprises that Pena controlled. During real estate seminars, private one-on-one sessions, advertisements, and public appearances, and otherwise, Pena represented that he was a highly successful real estate investor, owned thousands of properties in multiple states, and had business relationships with numerous celebrities. Through these efforts, Pena developed a significant following that included hundreds of thousands of social media followers. He owned or controlled numerous business entities and held real estate properties and or were used to open bank accounts that Pena used in furtherance of the charged offense. That included Warehouse LLC, a New Jersey limited liability company with blah, 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 blah. From Start to Flip LLC. Starting or at least around 2017, he began accepting investments from individuals for the alleged purchase, remodel, and sale of specific real estate projects in New Jersey. He entered into contracts with victims that specified, among other things, that the purpose of the investment promised interest payments and the time frame for repayment. But rather than using the victim's investments as promised, he engaged in a Ponzi-like scheme where he commingled victims' investor money and new victims' investments to pay off prior investors and cover personal expenditures. These is what we're probably going to figure out later on. Through the scheme, Pena defrauded dozens of victims of millions of dollars. Examples of the manner and means of Pena's scheme are described below. Okay. All right. I don't know if Envy is referenced again. You know what's interesting here, chat? And this tells me that at least at this time, or maybe there's a technicality with it. Remember I said like they're probably going to try to approach Envy to cooperate. Envy is listed as an individual, just like how Dirk is listed as an individual in the O-Block indictment. But him being listed as an individual doesn't mean that he can't be potentially charged later, right? What's interesting in this is that Envy is listed as an individual and not as a victim. You see, there's victim one. Remember, Envy said he's out of $500,000, which would have made him a victim, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm trying to see. All right. They're gonna call Envy individual. Let me see if his name is mentioned any time again. I don't think he's mentioned again. Yeah, he's not mentioned again. All right. We will see what happens. I think we've done enough commentary on this. I want to pray for all the victims. And if DJ Envy truly is a victim, I pray for him too. If he did do something wrong, I hope he atones for his sins, and I hope he tries to help the if he's really truly, ignorant or he didn't know what was going on. I hope he uses his voice to speak up for the other people who don't have a voice. All right, we'll see what happens. Okay, John Reyes, thank you for the 5. He said, "Man, DJ Scam V finna box all y'all in y'all mouth." Stop playing, bro. Young Kobe, thank you for the 5. He said, "Bro, DJ Envy graduated from Hampton University with a degree in business management. Are you saying that DJ Envy got played and he got a financial degree? Come on." All right, so you're saying you don't believe it, right? 2SS Havoc, I think I read this already. Okay, cool. Perfect. All right, let's move on to some other stuff that's going on currently, which is, I think we finally got the Meg. About it. PT Bullet Boy gave me thank you for the 5. It says, "Is it a possibility that they, Envy and Pina, made a deal that they'll run the play, but if things go south, Pina Colada takes all the heat?" Interesting. Well, if they made that agreement, if that agreement is null and void if Envy took money. So if the feds could find out that Envy profited by deposits or whatever, or said that to him, he's going to be fucked. So, you know what I mean? Fuck your agreement. If you were involved, you're involved. So I don't know how much that agreement would really matter at this point. Okay, cool. What else is going on, chat? What else is going on? Jesus Christ. By the way, let me see. Man, this is just bad, man. This is everywhere. It is everywhere. Okay, let me actually go towards this Meg situation real quick, and then I'll probably just go into the Blueface stuff with Blueface talking about her. If you guys don't know, Meg Thee Stallion is now a free agent of sorts from her label 1501 Certified, which is called Crawford's label. They've been in a bitter back and forth with some people even believing that the reason her best friend, which is Kelsey, even testified basically kind of backing up Tory is because of the feud that Carl Crawford has had with Meg over this label situation. If you don't know, one of the executives on 1501 Certified Entertainment is actually Kelsey's husband. So her husband is one of the executives, which would probably make a little bit of sense if you're